podcast is powered by Control. Control is a meal replacement and functional foods business whose mission is to improve the lifestyles of gamers and content creators by making them healthier. Their meal replacement shakes and meal on the go bars are the best tasting products in their category while also giving you all the protein, vitamins, minerals, and other nutrients you need to keep you going. Check out drinkcontrol.com and try out the sample kits to see what all the hype is about.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 139 of the XboxEra podcast. I am your terrible host today, Special Nick, and I am very thankfully joined by our good friend Colt Eastwood. Colt, how are you?
Really good. How are you doing, Nick? I love razzing you in chat on my show, and now I get to be here, and you can razz me back.
Yes, that's right. We get our revenge. And, of course, we have Jesse producing the show behind the scenes, pushing all the buttons and doing all the cool stuff. Jesse, how are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for Thank you for having me.
Yes. What did you do? Did you just pop up on screen or something?
I love it. Yeah, he popped up. It was like magic.
Ah, okay. I because I still have shitty Australian internet, I don't watch the show live while we do it. Once I get good internet, then I'll start watching the show at the same time. Now, don't forget, everyone, you all saw our ad at the start of the show. Remember, drinkcontrol.com/XboxEra. Use the code XboxEra to get 10% off. Stuff is amazing. I will never not say how amazing it is. Colt, go and get some. I'm telling you now. It's so good.
I will.
I also haven't had breakfast. That's why I'm having it on the air. Now, as you all know, the way we all start, what have we been playing? Colt, what have you been playing? Anything?
Yeah, 3 games. I've been bouncing between 3 games. Callisto Protocol, Need for Speed Unbound, which has a lot of problems. But it's good. And High on... Well, yeah, I'll get into that in a second. But High on Life has been...
Yeah, so good.
Man, I'll tell you what. So many games lately have tried to be funny, and they just don't get it. But this game is great. And it's so creative.
It's super good. It's really good. And I read some of the negative reviews and I don't know, I feel like they played a different game. I understand if the humor doesn't sit with you, that's okay. Humor is a wildly subjective thing. So if the humor doesn't land with you, that's okay. I don't watch Rick and Morty. So I don't have
me either.
So I don't have that preconceived, this is Rick and Morty humor. I have no idea what Rick and Morty humor is. I find most of the stuff in the game pretty funny. Obviously, I have quite an affinity with Knifey because he basically talks to people the way I talk to people. Yeah, that's how I talk to people in real life. So Knifey is very relatable to me. But I don't know. I think it's funny. I found it hilarious that most of the Tammy and the T-Rex movie is just
it's the whole
on the
thing,
TV in the
There's
background.
Actually,
for 20 minutes.
5. I think there might actually be 5 movies in there. And you can, I'm going to say there's a place you can go to watch the movies that's even better than the house that you definitely want to find.
Oh,
I'm trying to find the strip club. There's an achievement for hanging out in the strip club. Where's the strip club?
So, for finding a lot of things like that, you need to get those warp crystals whenever you clear out a warp base.
Okay.
And then you can buy the warp disc for them. But also, if you like the humor in this game, I think it's actually way closer to Solar Opposites, which is one of his other shows, which is just more weird, off the cuff, out there sci-fi stuff.
Yeah. And you were saying the humor could be a real problem because it absolutely would be. If you don't like this type of humor and you put the game on, it's going to annoy you. And so there were a 30 out of 100. There was a 40 out of 100. And then the other problem, Nick, is that no one reviewed this game. It has I think a total of 12 industry views, maybe not even 20
on Xbox.
Total.
On Xbox.
On PC and Xbox. No one has reviewed it. Last I checked, it had 12 reviews on PC and then 7 or something on Xbox. Like,
yeah.
And it's one of Xbox's problems where they're not marketing a game well enough to where everyone's like, but then again, this game also isn't popular high clip enough where all developer or all the industry people need to sit down and cut out time for this for the SEO and all the clicks.
There is there's a good reason why it happened. It's up to 35 now on OpenCritic and the reviews total. The reason why is me and everyone who reviewed this, we got the code at 11 p.m. Eastern on Friday night with an embargo for Monday night. So it was about 2 days total.
Oh,
and a lot of the
full
sites
days.
were just like, we're not spending our weekend doing it. We'll take our time. And so now they're starting to hit throughout the week. But yeah,
do you think that some of the
at launch?
Do you think that must bleed into some I keep saying developers, some reviewers saying, you know what, I was going to review this and now it's been out almost a week by the time I'll get done with it. Now it's not going to be worth the time and the I won't get the clicks on my articles.
We run into that a lot where if we don't get a code for a game right away, unless it's something huge like Callisto Protocol, we're not going to bother, especially with a video. Like I pushed this one as hard as I could. John and I played it all weekend, and now it's our biggest, I think it's our biggest review of the year, but it's because no one else had done it. So if you're not in that initial wave and you're a smaller site, you're just not going to get much traffic for it at all.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the same way. People ask me if I'm going to review a bunch of different games that I don't get keys for or review codes for hardly anything. And I'm like, yeah, well, a game like
I can help you with
even a game like High on Life, I've been taking my time. I probably won't finish it for 3 more sessions, like long sessions. I'm quite a ways into it, and of course I would never do a review. No one would care. Like by now they can play it. And then the Game Pass factor is another thing. Why review it? The score is it's on Game Pass. Why aren't you playing it? It's freaking, this game's awesome. This game's amazing.
You think that, but people actually once something hits Game Pass, even if it's old, like I did Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Assassin's Creed Origins reviews this year when they hit Game Pass, and they did really well because a lot of people were like, oh, is this worth
I find that odd too.
So they searched for a new review of it because those games also really change a lot over time. So something newer lets you know what it's like now.
Yeah.
I don't know. The negative reviews were weird to me just because they say stuff that seems not objectively untrue, but like they talk about it being not a good shooter. I think the shooting's quite good. I think the gunplay is fine. And the gameplay itself is perfectly okay. Like the only knock on the game I can understand is the humor part of it. So I get why some people just think it's not very funny, a bit cringy, blah, 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 blah. I like it. But the actual gameplay is, I think, quite solid. Visually, now that it's had the performance patch, I think visually it's stunning but I'm a big sucker for that chromatic aberration and that really heavy PBR look that it's got. I'm a big sucker for that. And it also took me a while to discover that it's basically a Metroidvania. So I started walking around the main hub city and finding like these hot walls and stuff that you can, sorry, people, spoiler, but you get like one of the earliest guns you get is that shotgun, who's quite funny. And he shoots out those big saws that stick into the walls. I assume you've got him, Colt?
Yeah, I was playing this game with Gaz, who's in the chat. Shout out to Gaz.
Yes, I just saw. Isn't Game on Daily still on?
I think maybe they must have wrapped, or he's doing double duty. You know him, split personality. We were both playing in party chat, and I skipped the second bounty and went to the third one, so I didn't unlock the shotgun for what seemed like quite a long time. Okay. And I had a hard time with that third boss because, anyway, play it in order.
Okay.
The game's just so cool. I go around and I keep bumping into the same pedestrians walking around the city. It's like, hey, watch out! Those are my nipples. And I just sit here and laugh. And I sat here stood my character in front of the living room and watched that TV show, that movie for like 20 minutes. I'm like, Paul Walker. He looks like he's like
Paul
15.
Walker. Yeah, Denise Richards.
So weird.
Yeah. I don't know if you listen to or watch the How Did This Get Made podcast. That's how I even knew Tammy and the T-Rex existed.
Oh, I need to check that out. And I go out in the courtyard of like the restaurant area in the middle of the city hub, and I'll stand in front of those TVs and watch
and just watch the shows.
There was like 30 of them before I finally saw something cycle through. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure the chat is like, yeah, we get it, we love it, but I hope that you guys are checking it out.
Did you see the show? Good. Did you see the show with the 3 sock puppets with the cuck situation? Oh my God, he's like, I want you to have sex with my wife. And he's like,
dude, it's so demented.
What? He's like, no, I want you to have sex with my wife. He's like, well, look, we already have sex, but like, it's weird doing it in front of you. He's like, I want to watch. I want you to have sex with my wife.
Goes, I think it's funny. That's a fake laugh, Steve. The show is those shows are so weird, but some of them are like 2D animated. Some of them are really low grade 3D animation. Like they just like threw a bunch of stuff into a computer and said, let's just, I don't know where they come up with it. And
oh my God.
If you're a creator watching them come up with this stuff, you're like, it's so random. And they threw it all in a bucket and just said, let's throw this in the game. And I love it for it.
Oh my God. The cuck one made me laugh. I sat there and watched the whole thing. I'm like, why am I still watching this? It's just, oh my God, it was so.
Or there was the guy with the sex organ on his back. It looked like tentacle eyes or something. And,
I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I'm only one of my species, and you can look at it. Here it is. Here it is. You can touch it if you want. And it's it's each character has like 3 frames of animation, like because they just threw these jokes together as quickly as possible. Yeah. And it's a bunch of trash they dumped into the TV shows, but they're all hilarious.
Yeah.
So
they're really good.
It's great. Yeah.
It's I'm enjoying it. And remind me, because I think I recognize his voice. The shotgun. The voice of the shotgun's famous.
Jay Smooth or something like that.
It is him, isn't it?
Yeah. He's funny. He's been on a bunch of different TV shows. He's got a very
distinct voice. And as soon as I heard that shotgun talk, I'm like, hold on a second. That's that dude. That sounds exactly.
I could see his face as soon as I heard it. And
he's like,
he does funny. He hides his voice in a couple other different characters. He'll do like a lower register character and kind of hide that it's him doing somebody else's voice. And like one of the reviews that knocked the game said, it sounds like Justin Roiland just got a bunch of, I think it's Roland, got a bunch of his friends together drunk and had him make a game. And I'm like, it sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah, okay. That's fine. Like, I don't know.
JB Smooth, thank you, Mitt.
It is JB Smooth. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
It does. I don't know. That some of the reviews I read, like, it sounded like they took it very personally. Like, it was weirdly aggressive. And the stuff they were saying, I'm like, what did this game do to you? Is there some weird history here that I'm not aware of?
Well,
because it's a...
Nick, you could see how some journalists might be like, well, I never, like, this is childish. And, Eurogamer really slammed it. And I really like Eurogamer. But whoever that was, and it's fine. Whoever that was like, how dare they? Like, that is so immature. It's pretty much how that comes off. And it's like, well, I'll say something that your chat's going to hate, but this is in defense. I'm not a South Park fan. Like, I've watched a few episodes and I'm like, I see it's funny, but it's just not my type of humor. But I love Family Guy. So it's just everyone's different. And I know people love a certain cartoons to death. And I know that once you and we're going to have to sit down and watch Rick and Morty, because I think we're missing out on something great there, because we know that humor is working for us.
I'm not a Rick and Morty guy. I love South Park. I do love South Park. But I also love Family Guy. That's the other thing. They're all wildly different humor, but I actually quite like all of them. But yeah, I don't know. I'm really enjoying it. And it's on Game Pass, guys. So just download it and try it out. Like, the worst case scenario, you try it for a couple of hours, you don't like it, and you uninstall it. Like,
just don't play it around your kids.
Yeah, I did that. I
had my teenage kid come in. I'm like, hey, check this out. This is really funny. I said, but there's strong language. And when I hit unpause, like, they dropped the F-bomb like 9 times. I'm like, yeah. One of my friends, Sean the Breeze, said that his son walked in the room when he was going up to the alien that with the trench coat that was selling a commodity. And Sean the Breeze said he was like fumbling the controller trying to pause it.
No, my son walked in as I got knifey. And like they heard an Australian voice in the video game too, and he's like, oh, Baba. He said, F word and the SH word and everything. I'm like, yeah, buddy, you better go because it's this game's not for you, bud. You better get out of here now. It's so good. And does Knifey say the C word eventually?
Yes, he says it the first time you meet him if you don't pick him up right away.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you let him go for a little while, he... So in the review, I said, I think I heard everything except for see you next Tuesday. And he definitely says it if you don't pick him up for about 20 seconds.
Yeah, because Knifey's Australian. He has to say see you next Tuesday at some point. Otherwise, it's not authentic.
Did you guys see the clip that IGN did for their review where there was that clip where the character says, all right, you're gonna have to knock us down a few pegs. This is some lazy development.
Yeah.
You have to knock Kotaku, IGN, you're gonna have to knock us down a few pegs.
Polygon.
Yeah, Polygon. And then IGN, when they did the review, they showed 10. They showed it, counted up to 10 and said masterpiece. Then they showed that clip and then went boop, 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 and knocked the game down. And they gave it an 8 out of 10, which is awesome.
That's still a very good score.
It's really good, but they did it to kind of follow along with the joke. Like, ooh, we were going to give you a 10 out of 10, but now we'll give you an 8, which the reviewer really believed that it was an 8 out of 10 for enjoyment. So,
but 8 out of 10 is a fantastic score. This is the thing. Like, it's obviously this is an entire discussion that we could have, but like if you're using the full 10-point scale like sites used to in the old days, 8 out of 10 is a fantastic score. It's a really, really good score.
Yeah. The presentation, the feel, the how it makes you feel,
I like
all
it.
that stuff.
I really like it
really well. And this kind of brings up an interesting point, Nick. Xbox is, we've all kind of had our rants last week as we kind of experienced our frustration or expressed our frustration of how the 2022 looks, especially after the video game awards. Xbox isn't really there. But I look back, I said my piece, right, Nick? But I look back and I'm like, Xbox has picked up these incredibly hot ticket games that have won over people that aren't what's the word? They aren't like your conventional super banger, right? But then you find out all these reviewers and the general public's like, that game was really great. Grounded being one of them. Yeah. Pentiment, which I didn't like at all, but has really won over everyone who played it.
Yeah.
And High on Life, which I was like, oh, that looks fun. That looks funny. And then when I got hands on, I'm like, this is really, really good.
Yeah. I like the look of High on Life just because they talk like me. But well, I mean, it's like another game that I've been playing, not on Game Pass, I will admit. I was playing it on iOS, and that's part of my OCD getting the better of me. Was Vampire Survivors. That's another one.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, they've picked up, and like all of a sudden, everyone's talking about it. So I've been playing Vampire Survivors. I will say I'm in this weird limbo with Vampire Survivors. So it hasn't quite hooked me as much as everyone else. But at the exact same time, I am fully aware of why everyone is so hooked on it and enjoying it so much. And a part of it is probably because of my impatience. Like I'm seeing everyone posting their clips on Twitter and everyone's already like full on nuts and they're just taking everything down. I'm still early and I keep still building so slowly. And I'm like, man, when am I going to become like ultra powerful? Like right now, I've still just got that initial swipe, and then I might get going.
Yeah, you have to.
And then I might
have to pay for the upgrades once you've earned enough, a bunch of coins. And then, like Jesse's footage here is on hyper mode, where it's playing at 2 or 3 times speed. Your character's faster, the clock's going faster, the match is shorter because of the time, and you have to stay on your toes more, and it just kind of ramps up the excitement. Sometimes I'll just be in a party chat, hanging out with somebody while I'm playing the game. But yeah, it's one of those games that no one would think, why would you even care? And it's been like a super hot hit for Xbox and Game Pass.
I can fully see why everyone is so hooked on it. It's pretty good.
And it has become my go-to for playing with the G Cloud because I did the review for it and they didn't want it back, so I still have it. And pretty much every night I'm just in bed with this weird little thing playing Vampire Survivors.
I have one.
Yeah, it's really nice, isn't it? I know the price sucks and it's freaking expensive for the G Cloud,
but it's because it's not being subsidized in any way.
That's why.
So I understand.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically $100 off when I bought it. It was like a week before it was releasing, and the pre-order was for $250, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give this thing a shot. I mean,
that was actually my
famous
recommended. Like, if you can find it $250 or cheaper, I think it's worth it because it's a solid tablet. It's a nice controller, and it works really well. And
then the other day, I had my earbuds synced to it, and I went and I'm like, oh look, here's my Spotify and my YouTube Music library. I'm like,
oh wow.
I mean, because it's an Android tablet with a really great Switch controller layout. So yeah, it's cool.
That's pretty good. Now, Colt, I think you and I are friends, yeah? Say we're friends, Colt. Say we're friends. Now, you and I agree on a lot of things, and we both like a lot of the same games, but we're going to have a problem here, and I want to know what your issues are with Need for Speed.
No, I do like it. It's just it's got a couple glaring problems. It's got two major glaring problems. One is there are only the first 20 hours of the game, there are like 6 races. Basically, like 6 routes where you race, pretty much at night or day. And then the other problem is,
I think I noticed that too.
I mean, you go down into the rock quarry, the tunnel, and you do that one race, or you do that other race, and then you have the obstacle course type thing, which there's 2 of them or 3. And then there's like an in-city race that goes around underneath over a bridge and cuts through the city. Like, you do that over and over. And I'm like, I've played a lot of Need for Speed games because just a few years ago, I got into when Need for Speed Heat came out. I really liked it, and no one cared. And so I played all the way through Heat, and then I went back and played 2 or 3 other Need for Speed games that had already been out that I'd never bothered to buy. So I've played through the games, and I'm like, this one, I'm not earning enough money to even do any meaningful upgrades. And I had to switch to relaxed mode just so I can barely get to 3rd, 2nd, and 1st place sometimes.
It's very hard, isn't it? It is
I'm not wondering if it was just me. And
no, I struggled to win races, even on the easiest mode. I struggled to win races. It is hard.
I actually think the easy mode doesn't do anything. They say it gives your car 50 more health out of 100. So you have 150 health, and the cops aren't as aggressive. But
the cops are easy to get away from. The cops are super easy to get away from. I do like the game.
I've been playing it a lot.
I'm in love with the visual style, and I don't mind how it handles, and I'm enjoying it so far. I'm still in the trial. Believe it or not, it's already on sale.
Oh, I can believe that.
Yeah, it's already on part of all these end of year sales. It's like 71 Australian for the Palace edition. I'm like, what? That's like, I'd be annoyed if I'd bought it day one. I'd be very annoyed.
Yeah, I bought it after the trial. It was still grindy in the 10-hour trial for me.
It is a little bit. I don't know. I don't mind that aspect of it, but yeah, I can understand why you probably have an issue. Now, Callisto, because you mentioned that you've been playing Callisto. Now, Jesse was nice enough to send me a code for Callisto. I have not started it yet, but I do have the deluxe edition waiting for me installed. But Callisto seems very divisive. Like, some people are like loving it, others like can't stand the combat and how it plays. Where do you sit on it?
I like it. It looks like Jesse's in a spot here that I haven't been to yet. I'm like halfway through the game. The combat is really challenging. Like, I'll dodge an enemy and then they'll punch me right after my body comes back. Like, here comes the dodge, and I come back and he's got another punch. I'm like, come on, what was I supposed to do there? And you're supposed to rely on the telekinesis to keep enemies at bay, but you really want to beat them down where they are, because then you can stomp on them and loot. You preciously need ammo and other resources from looting them. The game also should look a lot nicer than it does on a Series X. The game basically looks like it's really nice looking, but it should run and be a lot sharper on a Series X. It looks like I'm playing on a slightly improved 1X, in performance mode.
Interesting.
Developers are having a really hard time with the XDK, and maybe we could talk about that later, but that's becoming a major problem because when they port things to PlayStation 5, it's not as much work. Oh, Jesse's doing stuff that I don't even think about. Telekinesing picking up the explosive canisters. I just shoot them. This is pretty creative. You gotta.
It's like Dead Space. Dead Space had a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's where I can't wait for that Dead Space.
It's like Dead Space is what you can say a lot and not always in good ways. It's like a wannabe Dead Space for me. Mm-hmm. It's just not nearly as polished or fun overall.
But it's also, this is the thing, like, you know, and this is, I guess this is worth discussing. You know, we have great games throughout history. We have great games. And it's funny how there's always, do you find that there's always one person associated with games? It's like Callisto Protocol, Glenn Schofield, the maker of Dead Space. It's like, Glenn Schofield wasn't the only person making Dead Space. There was an entire team of people making Dead Space. And now Callisto Protocol shows that it's not just one person that makes Dead Space. It's a lot of people. They talk about Kojima and Metal Gear Solid. Mate, Metal Gear Solid was made by a lot of people. I don't know. It's not like movies where you have that. In movies, you can have that one visionary, and the team can chop and change. But I feel like with games, you can't really just have that one person because there's so many aspects that make up a game. Like someone like Glenn Schofield isn't the one coding and isn't the one behind how a game plays or how the combat is or whatever the case may be.
Good point.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like...
Yeah, you do need that visionary. I mean, obviously, there's always that one person that is telling the team, like, here's the vision and here's the tone. And then, like you said, you have to have the technical people that can make the animations meet that or the artists that can meet that dream or that vision. For sure. Yeah. I mean, that's always happens, though. Steven Spielberg.
Well,
and Dennis Villeneuve.
Very long Twitter thread today from Josh Sawyer about how everyone always says he was Fallout New Vegas. And he's like, I didn't do most of the writing in Fallout New Vegas. It was actually this guy. And then this person did all of this. Like,
that's
what
I mean.
Working and making sure everything went the right way. But I wasn't doing all of the work on this big game. And people just always do that.
That's right, and that's what I mean. I mean, and I had to stop myself because I got to force myself to not go on too many tangents. But I was so ready to go on a Halo 343 tangent just then, but I'm like, nah, I'm gonna hold back because Halo suffers from the same thing. People think, oh, well, it's not Bungie. It's like, yeah, but Halo now feels better than it's ever felt, despite Bungie. I'm talking about just the movement and shooting and the guns and all. To me, Halo feels better than it ever has under 343. But then there's other aspects that aren't as good as how Bungie had them. And that's just, again, another example of how people come and go. But the right people, it's not as clear who the right people are that come and go. Anyway, that's a... Man, that is a rabbit hole we could go down.
Well, I mean, you got the visionary of Ken Levine who just showed us BioShock 4, which I wish you would have called it BioShock 4.
I know, because that looked exactly like BioShock. Yeah.
Unless 2K owns the rights to the IP of BioShock, which maybe, but it's like,
because they have a team working on a sequel. They have or a new BioShock game. They announced
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do have a lot to look forward to, but that is another great visionary who is like, when Ken Levine's like saying, hey, this is what I want, Nick's right. That team behind him has got to be competent and super talented to make that become a reality. Because someone could sit at the chair with the clapper, right, and say, and action. Yeah. And then you need a great actor and actress and great lighting people. It really is about a full team.
So many parts. Yeah, that's right.
Now, and we got Xbox Studios has all these talented people that have come from everywhere, and I always get in these arguments on social media about organic growth and like, while PlayStation may not have bought all their studios,
they bought
all their studios are made up of people that they've recruited or drafted or hired from other studios. So the organic thing is just it's a bowl of oatmeal sliding down the stairs. I don't fall for it.
Yeah. Well, that was the longest. What have we been playing? Probably ever.
Well, I mean, it is really part of the show. It is.
Yeah, I know.
There's a lot of relevant new information in that discussion.
And the issue is that John and Nick don't normally play anything.
Yes. Not normally.
Come on.
I'm always busy playing Fortnite or Rocket League.
What was it with PlayStation said that you had 70 hours in Rocket League for the year?
No. I had,
or was it Fortnite?
Fortnite, 71 hours in Fortnite on PlayStation.
That's a lie because you have 71 hours just looking at the store in Fortnite on PlayStation.
That's right. That's exactly right. I just bought the Hulk. That reminds me, why don't we play Fortnite? You play
Let's
now,
do
don't
it.
you?
I've been playing with my friends and I've been playing with my kids more than anybody. And my 11-year-old and my 15-year-old are they've been carrying me lately, and I actually I do really well in the game. But like we'll rack up 15 kills before we get toward the last few people. They're really good. I have a good time with them. But I leveled up the battle pass to the Doom guy, and I got Marcus and Kate.
I'm this far from him. I just got to level 26, but I don't have enough stars to buy the Doom Slayer. So I'm now I need to go.
Just
up
need a few more
levels.
Matches. Run around. I light every fire. I make sure I interact with everything and just keep.
I check the quests.
Coming.
I check the quests and I make sure I'm working towards those quests. Fortnite's amazing. I also play Fortnite.
Can I hijack the show for 20 seconds, Nick?
Yeah, do it.
I did say I was going to do this. So we did a giveaway for Marvel's
I was just
Midnight
about to mention
Suns.
that.
Hey,
now that we were done, I was just about to mention it because we were done with what we've been playing. So yes.
Yeah, so I'm just going to quickly announce the winner. The
winner. What's the prize for?
Marvel's Midnight Suns Digital Plus Edition on Series X. And that winner is at Willie Low, WILLYLO. Congrats, Willie.
Yes, I hope you're watching, Willie. Probably not, but I hope you're watching. Willie,
I've tweeted as well, so he'll get hit on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do another one of these.
So, congrats, Aunt Willie Low. Was that the name?
Yes. Yeah. Willie Low, WILLYLO.
Yes, congrats on winning Midnight Suns. I hope you like it. And speaking of likes, I don't know how many people are watching right now, but
hit the like button. Here, I'll take over. Hit the like button. This is XboxEra. And for some reason, they had me on the show, but we have a bunch to talk about. So we're going to have fun and just hit the like button. That'll keep Nick's shirt on or off.
That's right.
You know, we'll see.
Yes, correct. That's right. As will going to drinkcontrol.com/XboxEra and using the code for 10% off XboxEra. Now, in what is arguably the biggest dump of news that came this week, and I say that both metaphorically and literally, G Fuel. This came out of nowhere. Now, G Fuel, which is nowhere near as good as Control, by the way, came out with a random new flavor out of nowhere, as the episode is titled this week, called Mighty Poo. A conker flavor. Yep, it's a flavor that is look at Colt straight away googling it.
Oh my gosh!
They came out with a new flavor called Mighty Poo. Now,
it is tropical corn soda.
Tropical corn. Well, the corn fits the poo part.
Corn syrup's delicious, though.
Yes. So I think a lot of people started to speculate. Wow, this random out of nowhere drop of a conker flavor. Do you think there's more to it than that? The fact that G Fuel just randomly comes out with a conker related flavor. Do you think there's something coming on the horizon?
I don't know. Xbox has had some of their IPs brought up in different instances, and everyone gets super excited, and then nothing.
But this is incredibly random. I know, it feels so random. And conker of all things,
all the things that we've been sniffing out, right, Nick? Conker hasn't been one thing that's been brought up in a long time, other than I sure wish they had that, is all I've heard from fans.
That's what I mean. This just seems odd to me. Not Banjo, not Halo, not, I don't know, Forza, not Gears. Conker flavor of all the things, of all the IPs they could have chosen. Conker. It feels deliberate to me.
Is that Conker gameplay right there?
Yep. On a Series X.
Have you not played it?
Is this like a first-person shooting level, but normally it's third person?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
this looks like a banger.
Conker was a good game. Haven't you played Conker?
I haven't played Conker. It was it's one of those things. Yeah,
you have access to it with the rare replay.
Rare replay. It's in rare replay.
It actually doesn't look horrible. Like it doesn't look dated as much. Nick, we obviously wouldn't think any Xbox Studios partnerships could be working on anything Conker related. If it did exist, it would be some other partnership.
Project Spark.
Oh, was it?
Oh, yeah.
Oops.
I was going to say that actually. Is that Project Spark? Because I used to see Project Spark related Conker stuff.
No, there's the Conker there's Conker on 64. Conker's Bad Fur Day on 64. Then there's Live and Reloaded on OG Xbox, which is I think like a quasi remake or reimagining of the 64 game. And then that's in rare replay. I don't know. It seemed odd to me. Like when I saw G Fuel announcing a Conker flavor just out of the blue, I'm like, hold on a second.
That is weird.
That seems odd to me. Just tropical corn. Yeah. That just felt weird. Mighty Poo. I can call it Mighty Poo. That's such a utterly British thing to do. So good. But yeah, I mean, you're probably right. It'll probably mean nothing. And just some random thing that they decided, Clobril, who is also very Conker focused, is always talking about that lack of synergy in Xbox marketing. Maybe this is another example of that.
Did he tweet out this G Fuel thing? Because it seemed like he'd be all over that.
I don't know. I don't actually think he did. Because I DM'd him, showing him the thumbnail for the episode, and he's like, ha, that's cool. Is there some Conker thing? I'm like, no, dude. Like, there's a G Fuel flavor called Mighty Poo, and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, people tagged him, and I think he said he's definitely buying it. But
as a collector's item, you'd have to buy it as a collector's item for sure. But yeah, that just felt random to me, so I thought it might be worth having a chat about. I thought it was rather interesting. Now, speaking of things not coming Xbox, the Pixel Remasters, the Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters got rated for PlayStation and Switch. But of course, they weren't rated
to be
for
fair,
Xbox
Square Enix doesn't know, has never heard of Xbox. So
no, that's right.
I don't know how that that happened.
They're not aware that there's a third console.
There is a rumor about this one that this might just be for physical editions, and it could come digitally, but we don't know yet.
Physical?
They never do the physical. They never do physical copies on Xbox on things like this.
Why does it say PS4 and Switch and not PS5? Like it would just come up back compat. That's weird.
I think so, yes. I have a theory. I have a theory on that. My theory is that these Pixel remasters were made a long time ago and have been sitting there ready for ages. And before they bothered updating for PS5 or anything, so they had just made them for PS4 and Switch. And maybe that's why. And they might not even bother because they're just the Pixel remasters. Did they really need to be updated for PS5? They'll probably be.
No, I mean, they would automatically be on the PS5, but I mean, if I wrote the article, I'd be telling people if you have a PS5, it would be on there as well. But
I don't know. There's a friend of mine on Twitter who's like obsessed with these Pixel.
I've only played one of them, and you might be able to help me. I played one of them on the Sega Game Gear back in
Final Fantasy.
Yeah, on
Final Fantasy. Are you sure you're not thinking of Phantasy Star? Are you sure you're not thinking of Phantasy
No, I mean,
Star?
I thought it was Final Fantasy because my whole life when I thought about Final Fantasy, I thought of the game that I played for like 2 days on my friend's Sega Game Gear, but it's never been on Sega?
No, Final Fantasy's never been. No. I reckon you're thinking of Phantasy Star.
Final Fantasy 1 through 6, I believe, were only on Nintendo.
Was it also
like a Sony?
Was it also a RPG, like a turn-based RPG.
Yeah, Fantasy Star was basically Sega's Final Fantasy.
Oh, that's probably it then. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was really addicting. Yeah. Looking at the cover, I don't think I would have played it, but
And now it's Fantasy Star Online.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. We now have Fantasy Star Online.
Because I played my first game like that was Dragon Warrior on the NES. And I don't know if anybody remembers that, but it probably came out in 88. And it was a top-down world, and then you walked into the enemies, and then they faced you. It was like a picture drawing of the character, and you had hit, run, and something else. Hit, run, and spell. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is weird, but it was really addicting.
Yeah.
But yeah, those games, I mean, who's going to play them really? I think people buy them.
I don't know. I've got a friend on Twitter at MagitechDad who is obsessed with these Pixel remasters, and we've been DMing each other back and forth because I was getting DMs about these Pixel remasters coming to consoles a while back. Wasn't something I was going to bother leaking because I don't really care that much about
what's
the
this
Pixel
gameplay
remasters.
just going back and forth? I played this game I remember it. Yeah, it was like a cool like close up of the character, and you fought them, and I was like really hooked on.
So what game are you showing now?
That's Dragon Warrior, which it got its name changed, right, Jesse?
Right.
It's no longer called Dragon Warrior. Huh?
It came up as Dragon Warrior when I searched on YouTube.
That's what it's called now, but now the modern versions of it have a different name. They've changed the name. I think it's crud, what is it?
Almost looks like Vampire
Dragon
Survivors.
Quest. Dragon Quest is what it's called now.
Oh, okay.
So there's Dragon Quest 7, and it derives from Dragon Warrior. It's the same developers, and they've changed. They modernized the name or something and changed it to Dragon Quest. Yeah, that's really old school stuff. I've been around a long time.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Sega Game Gear, Sega Master System. That's a hell of a long time ago. Now, do we get it? You know what? We'll save that for later on. Now, something I found interesting. Epic this week announced that they're shutting down a bunch of servers for online games, a whole bunch, and they're also delisting a bunch of games. And for me, the three that stood out were Dance Central. So Epic, I didn't even realize Epic were running those servers. So
that's a Harmonix
Dance
game.
Central, yeah. Well, remember, Epic owns Harmonix now.
We play Dance. We just bought Dance Central on disc a few months ago because we play it every year at New Year's Eve with our friends and family. So I played it every year since it came out, and we lost the disc like last year, so we were only playing Rock Band, and then now we just finally replaced the copy of Dance Central on disc, brand new copy.
Funny you mentioned Rock Band. Crap. Another game that's having its online servers shut down. So they're shutting down like Dance Central 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, I know. I'm devastated. I'm like, but then again, I have to admit though, I wasn't really playing the Dance Central games online.
I mean, who is? But I'm not even kidding you. We have an under the stairs closet over here, and we have the Rock Band gear in there, and then we keep the stupid 360 Connect is still sitting there above our sound bar. It's always been there, and every year we're like, we get ready for New Year's Eve, and we're like, let's pull out the Rock Band stuff, and we buy a pack of brand new batteries. It's the only time we use it, and that means I own like maybe 50 songs, and then I have the transition ones, because you used to you paid a $2 licensing fee, and Rock Band 1 songs would transfer up to Rock Band 2 and so on. I have Rock Band 1, 2, and 3, and then we have Dance Central 1 and 2. We play them every single year. Bummer. That's my story. But
I mean, you should still theoretically be able to play them single player, though. Theoretically.
Well, if the licensing is still attached to Xbox Live, then it should be okay, because the songs are downloaded there on the hard drive of 360.
Your hard drive, yeah.
So I guess you wouldn't be able to play online with people.
Content, it's just multiplayer servers for connecting to other people. So
it's
the only games that won't
server.
be accessible in any way anymore are Rock Band Blitz, Rock Band Companion App, and SingSpace, which were all tied entirely to being online.
Gosh, that was such a saturation. That market was so saturated in 2010 to about 2010. They had like cannibalized the market Activision and Harmonix Harmonix put out about 6 games. They put out Green Day, Beatles, Rock Band 1, 2, and 3. There's another band they did. And then, of course, Activision had Guitar Hero with Aerosmith, Metallica, Van Halen, Rock Band 4, Rock Band World Tour, Rock Band 5. I owned almost all of them.
I love Metallica so much. Metallica also in Fortnite at the moment.
Yes.
Did you buy the emote?
No, I didn't.
I got that Master of Puppets emote, and I'm just hanging to pair it with the Doomslayer, and just have the Doomslayer rocking out to Master of Puppets.
I've got Doomslayer with his sword. My kids are like, Dad, quit spending money, because I spent about $25 on Fortnite last week. I think I've spent about probably $40 in ever since it's come out. But I think the game deserves my money. It's really good.
I have spent. I'm scared to try and work out how much money I've spent on Fortnite. Like, if you're talking buying battle passes, buying skins, this, that, the other. Just very super quick off the top of my head, it would have to be at least 500-600 Australian.
Yikes.
On Fortnite, I reckon. Like, and
how much you talk about buying, I bet you're way higher.
Yeah, possibly. Like, the skins alone are like $20-$30 here, and I've bought a lot of skins. Like, it would be a lot of money.
But like UK Lad said in the chat, the skins are awesome.
Oh,
they are. They're true to the IP. They look great. They
look fantastic.
Everything works. Especially
with Chun-Li. Chun-Li looks.
Is Chun-Li good?
Chun-Li is very good. Chun-Li's great.
I don't know.
And that's why
we haven't had this conversation, Nick, but let me set the world on fire. I would like Halo Infinite to have a battle royale that allows you to buy Marvel, Xbox IP characters. Yeah, there you go with the foot. I've got the Caco Demon glider and I've got Doomslayer.
I just got that last night, the Caco Demon.
So awesome. And people are like, don't ruin Halo. I'm like, come on, it would be so fun.
It would. Halo was built for battle royale, and imagine you could do a partnership with Marvel, where you have like all the Iron Man Mark versions, like Mark 45, Mark 2, Mark 3, and their Halo armors. It would just be.
Who does this? Do the teams at Fortnite for Epic sit down? Are they commissioned to like build the Spider-Man Tom Holland character? Like, okay, we've got the license for Tom Holland. He's going to be one of the characters we're going to put in the store. And so the teams sit down and they follow like a design criteria, because they all do an incredible job.
That's right. And they'd sit down with all those companies, because they'd be rules. I mean, you and I, or you still are, I think, we're graphic designers. Like, there's style guides that have to be followed, and rules, certain colors and certain things, like, and it would go down to like the finest detail. They'd be like, well, Tom has this cowlick and you have to have that in his hair, and blah blah blah. They'd get very, very specific. Now, a lot of you are probably thinking they're going off topic, because you guys were talking about Epic shutting down games. Fortnite is owned by Epic, and Harmonix is also owned by Epic, and Harmonix was bought specifically to do music stuff in Fortnite, so it's all very related.
Really?
But yeah,
Harmonix has been doing music stuff for Fortnite.
Yes, that's what they were.
So
cool.
Cool.
They were basically bought to do music events and stuff in Fortnite. That is what Harmonix does.
So Epic
now.
Doesn't have their talent organically; they just hire other people, and
they're
just buy their way into
like
the industry.
Microsoft. They just buy everything. Match made in heaven. Maybe Microsoft.
You play in build mode?
No.
I don't.
As soon as Zero Build came out, I ditched that shit so fast. I never touch build anymore. Never.
I know, it's so great. It's such a neat game, and I've made. Well, I mean, I didn't really make fun of it, but like I just kind of dismissed it for a long time. And there's people who are like, "Oh, Fortnite's dumb." It's like, you should play it, because you should play it. It's really, really a solid, amazing experience.
It's fantastic.
Doesn't it
so
look
good.
Unbelievably beautiful on the Series X?
It's gorgeous.
I was I was looking at my kids. My kids both play on a Series S. They don't get the Unreal Engine 5.1 full ray traced or global illumination version on the Series S. And I didn't know that. Like, there's no mode to change it. It just runs in the beautiful 60 frames mode on the Series S. Yeah. But on mine, I get real reflections in the water. Because I said, look down at the water and tell me if the reflections disappear. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, look up and down. And they're like, yeah, the trees disappear. And I'm like, oh, it's not using on the Series S.
No, that's right.
It's beautiful.
I loaded it up on Switch. Man, it's a rough experience.
What mode are you playing here, Jesse, or showing where you can respawn? It's on YouTube?
Yep. I just grabbed a YouTuber for this skin.
Yeah, I'd like to play that where you can respawn. That's kind of cool. But yeah, it's a neat game. But it's not a Fortnite show, but we said what we said.
With Nick, it's a Fortnite show most of the time.
Sometimes it becomes a Fortnite show. Remember, it was almost a year ago to the day that I leaked the Doomslayer coming to Fortnite. But apparently that doesn't count if it's like a certain amount of time.
Doomslayer. But and he looks so perfect
he does.
For the he looks well, I mean, he almost looks just like the game version because that style guide says, you have to have a certain level of detail and it doesn't go over that. And he pretty much looks like he does in the game.
He looks great. But
let's talk about Doom. Let me take over your show. Let's talk about Doom or id for a second. What nobody knows. Like there's no inside information, but what in the heck do you think id is doing? What do you think they want to do next? Because
I don't know.
They released Doom Eternal in 2020. Mm-hmm. They have to have something like bubbling over in a pot somewhere, right? So what do you think they could be doing?
I had heard that they were helping out on a Quake reboot, but I don't know where that went.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of heard stuff like that too, but I don't know if we have anything to hold on to. But we're due for Quake.
Yeah, we are. The same way Doom got rebooted, we are due for Quake to be rebooted.
I mean, I thought that
their Ancient Gods DLCs were both very big and very good, and only finished last year, I think. So, I'm curious, they probably are very early on their next major project.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Maybe. But that was a small id tangent after talking about Fortnite, after we were meant to be talking about Epic shutting down servers, multiplayer servers for their games.
And we all still learned something along the way.
We did. Yeah. And this was exactly what was not meant to happen on today's show, but it still did. Now, the topic that I hate talking about more than any other, but it keeps coming up, and I know you and Gaz love talking about it, and that's ABK. There has been yet more ABK garbage coming out this week, or in the last week or so. We had Sony saying that Nintendo doesn't count. Nintendo is for kids, even though Nintendo makes a video game console and sells video games on it. We had the CWA and the AFL, and for Aussies watching, no, that's not the Australian Football League. The AFL CIO, they want the acquisition to go through because I think they're also very pro-union. I believe. Is that right, Jesse? Or they are unions? Yeah. They're very... So, and this is something that we had discussed in the last couple of weeks, even though we didn't want to talk about it, was the fact that Microsoft will acknowledge these unions. I know it's only for QA testers, but that's the first step. Like, you're not going to go from 0 to 100. You're not going to go from the video game industry having no unions to suddenly full unionization across the entire industry. These first couple of QA unions are that first baby step towards hopefully a future where unions in the video game industry are a standard. Now, if Microsoft can be the pioneer in this space, then that's only a good thing, obviously, for Microsoft, but also for them attracting the best talent. So if Microsoft can be the company that establishes the first proper video game unions, it helps them get good talent for the future, which I think is something they've had a bit of an issue with personally. I think that's one thing that doesn't get talked about much. that Sony seems to excel at more than most, which is getting... Earlier, we were talking about how teams are made up of people. And I feel like Sony has mastered the art of getting the right people in the right places, if that makes sense. Which I think it's something Microsoft has historically struggled with. And maybe having these unions is a step towards them becoming a destination employer for video game developers, which hopefully brings in the best talent. But yeah, I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Well, when you say that, PlayStation has been providing a work environment for their studios for 25 years, and Xbox has really only been doing it for about 5 years. And they've had a lot of studios in the past, like in their long 20-year history, that have really fizzled out or just kind of folded in and over to different things and haven't really created anything. Like there's studios that somebody could probably name that we've never even heard of because they haven't created any games that still endure. But basically for the past 5 years, it's been Halo, Gears, and Forza, and a couple other studios that are busy making multi-plats and exclusives for PlayStation. And so it's really exacerbated the long wait for these studios to deliver. And we're just now seeing, can Xbox manage these studios? And with 343, that's a whole other problem. But the other studios seem to be just taking their sweet time, making something really great, and not being pressured for once to Xbox to meet a fiscal year or fiscal quarter demand. And a lot of I've been covering Xbox since about 2015 on YouTube. And during much of that time, Xbox's MO has been to hurry up. Our publishers want to get paid. Let's meet this fiscal quarter deadline. And if it better be done. And then they would come out with a game that was just not all that great, or could have used another year or two to test and just be refined and be more enjoyable. And I don't love a lot of those games they did last generation. I'm not a fan of ReCore. I like Rise, Son of Rome. It could have been way better. No, I do not like ReCore at all.
Loved ReCore.
Yeah. That game is really frustrating for me and not enjoyable. At first, I liked it. Quantum Break, I kind of like Quantum Break, but it could have been so much better. But I'm not a Remedy fan.
That's a bit boring.
Yeah, I don't really like Control that much. So I liked Alan Wake a lot, but it's just
Alan Wake's amazing.
But those aren't their studios. So like everyone's like, Microsoft has to prove they can manage. Like, well, they're kind of new at this managing thing. So they do need to prove it.
But do you think now that, and it's funny, we were talking about, we started talking about ABK and now it's talking about Microsoft Studios. Do you think now they have the opposite problem though? Like, I feel they've gone too far in the other direction. And again, maybe that's an experience thing. Maybe Sony and Nintendo have that down pat. Although I still think Sony and Nintendo probably crunch more than they're willing to admit. But do you think...
I think Microsoft doesn't crunch at all. And maybe
that's what I mean.
Do
you think... Yes. Do you think Microsoft's gone too far in the other direction where they're so hands-off and so... you do your own thing because we don't want to risk looking like the bad guys, that it's having
it's good for human beings, but I'll just be callous for a moment. You're in the entertainment business. It's the biggest, fastest growing, most revenue streamed industry in the world. It's surpassed movies and TV. Gaming is the de facto money making and like bloodthirsty fans want their games. And I think maybe there's a little bit of crunch going on in PlayStation Studios because they seem to get games out a little faster, but they treat their people really well. But hey, I don't know how to break it to you, Jason Schreier. Every industry in this world has some crunch. People are working overtime. Hey, guess what? They're getting paid. They're getting paid overtime.
And as long as they're getting paid, they do need to
all get
be
paid for overtime. That. And there's there's the whole union discussion that's going on. And I'm in a union personally. I wish they did more for me, but unions protect more important things other than asking for pay raises. But there's it's a whole nuanced discussion. But I said last week that what I know of Matt Booty, I think he would like to go over and kind of say, "Hey, let's go." Let's get some gameplay. Let's stretch your arms. Let's do some long reaching. Let's work hard. Let's see what you guys can deliver. Let's get some great stuff to show our platform in this next event. And I feel like maybe Microsoft's like, Matt, we don't want to put a lot of pressure on them. So I don't need to go and give them that talk. Let them do their thing. Let them blossom. Let them flourish.
If you ask most game developers, and if you ask most creatives in any space, they will tell you, there's one thing they'll tell you, Colt, you'll say it, I used to say it about my graphic design stuff. You're never truly happy. You will with what you've put out. You'll always wish that you had a little bit more time to massage it some more, a little bit more time to make some tweaks, a little bit more time.
Sure.
So if you're
I do it with thumbnails.
hands-off,
like I'll open up a thumbnail like 19 times. Yeah.
If you completely let go of the leash and don't pull back on the leash at all, most of these developers, not with any malice, just through that creative drive that they have, they'll keep iterating, they'll keep changing, they'll keep tweaking, they'll keep trying different things, and that's where you need a Matt, whether it's Matt Booty, whether it, remember Rod Ferguson used to be called the closer because he used to come in and just get stuff done. You need that person that will say, no, this was the vision, stick with it, stop doing this, this is where we need to get it back on track. Because I feel like that's where Microsoft's, again, that's just my feeling, my hunch, the vibe that I'm getting from what I'm seeing.
Jarrett Bishop in the chat says, Colt, just because industries have it doesn't make it's okay. It's a very dangerous logical fallacy. In my job, I had a boss that was he really cracked the whip. And there were times, and this is just a few years ago, there were times where I felt every week that I was going to get fired if I didn't deliver. But when I look back, I created some of my most amazing work, most creative, great stuff, because he wasn't just cracking the whip. Like, he was always pushing, like, hey, let's get better and better. And my personality, I want to do better than I did last time. Like, create something that wowed people even more. Create like a big display that looks incredible, and you walk by it, just stops you in your tracks. And this is how it is in the entertainment business and in the entertainment industry, where you have to be under the pressure to deliver. If you're putting out Guardians of the Galaxy 3, it has to kick so much butt, and the CGI team has to be breaking the, they have to be bursting the envelope. They have to be creating the best thing and making it better. And you just want to do all these great things. And if you sit back and say, let's see what they can do if we just leave them alone, Matt Booty wants to go in there, I would think, and say, hey, I know it's going to be a lot of hard work, but get us a minute of gameplay for our upcoming showcase. And we're not quite there yet. It's we'll find an area in your game that's your most polished, that's not going to reveal anything. Show us something great. What can you get me in a month? And then, of course, if it's Playground Games, maybe oh my gosh, this is going to be so difficult. I'm so sorry your job is difficult. Everyone's jobs are difficult. But it's not just the fans. Not just the fans demand it. Xbox in a situation where they can't sit back. They have to show proof of life. They have to show the world, the industry, even the regulators, that they can create something amazing with the tutelage of Xbox Game Studios.
If you're looking at the regulators, they need to suck. For the regulators, they need to suck. They have to keep sucking to allow.
I mean, why would you want to suck when you're going to bring on this multi-billion-dollar Activision and Blizzard team, all these studios that work on these major IPs, and show them we're inept, we don't know how to direct these studios? You need to be able to show, hey, with us, they're going to have a great, strong support work environment. We're going to bring people over to their studios and say, hey, here's how you need to do it on the hardware. Here's how you do these engines. Here's how we help you with getting, the architecture, and the new architecture is not just in Xbox, it's in PCs. How you can take advantage of all the software and hardware implementation. We've got people that can support you. And if we don't see Xbox prove that they can be a major support for these studios, then that's not a good look for the ABK merger.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're looking at it logically as where the FTC was just always going to look at it and say, we're suing no matter what, doesn't matter.
They had their mind made
Because
up.
it's big tech. Because it's big tech, and we want to stop big tech. It's funny. I'm seeing a comment from our friend nrXic in the chat, which is a perfect example of what I think I'm talking about with letting go of the leash. So nrXic, good friend of the show, made Omega Rally Championship as part of the Creators Collection, which is, you get a copy of that for free if you join our Patreon. Regardless of the tier that you join our Patreon on, you get a copy of Omega Rally Championship, which I am still pushing for to be the base of a new rock and roll racing game that I think Microsoft should go back to when ABK hopefully goes through. I will talk to Phil. Say, Phil, listen. There's a game on Xbox right now called Omega Rally Championship. This game needs to be the foundation for a new rock and roll racing. But we'll get into that.
That's the isometric racer. That's like the RC Pro-Am of our day.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
That's a cool game. Really difficult to play.
So nrXic has said in the chat, Dan Greenawalt made a comment about this, about how his studio was able to pump out games regularly, and he says they scope properly, and I have to agree with him. Now, I find this comment interesting
10, right?
because, yes. So it's funny. It's funny that Dan Greenawalt, because Turn 10's studio head. So I've got a friend of mine who used to be at Xbox, is no longer at Xbox. They're somewhere else now. Who used to tell me about how Alan, I can't remember his surname, but the Turn 10 studio head, if someone can Google it and remind me, because I feel rude doing it while I'm trying to host the show. Alan Hartman, yes. This friend of mine who used to be at Xbox said that Alan Hartman is like one of the most efficient, on the ball studio heads you're ever going to find. Because, I mean, have a look at Turn 10. Look how much they were turning over Forza Motorsport games. And they were still quite good quality, despite the really frequency with which they were releasing them.
Yeah.
And now, yet look at Motorsport. And look at how Motorsport's still not out yet. And I feel like that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about, of how Microsoft has now let go so much that even a team like Turn 10 is taking a while to get Motorsport out. Probably because there are a bunch of
5 years. It's like 5.5 years.
Probably because there are a bunch of perfectionists that want this game to be.
Well, they're trying to build it entirely for the new hardware, which always takes time.
That's what I'm saying, and they're probably wanting it to be so incredible and so amazing, and maybe there's no one now just tugging on that leash a little bit, saying, "Guys, let's go. Let's get this going. Let's get this going."
I thought that game was going to come out in holiday 2022, and now it's pushed to...
I thought it might have been 2021. I thought that might have been a 2021 game.
They were a 2-year development cycle. Now they're, I think it's 5.5 years if they release like by summer.
Years. That's what I mean. Now we are
5 years right now,
but we are unofficially aware that they were building an Xbox One version. So I'm sure that's a part of it. And now they've probably, I wouldn't be surprised if they've ditched that Xbox One version.
The reason for that early on, supposedly, is because there weren't enough Series X's for everyone to be able to test on. Like they didn't have enough Series consoles early on to be able to do it. So for people that didn't have a good PC, you need a console version for them. But also a lot of this, and that's during 2020, 2021, and COVID and the whole pandemic, which knocks every time frame back across the industry, as we've seen.
Couple of years. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. I found it funny that, again, everything I've ever been told about Turn 10 is that they are like arguably Microsoft's best studio in terms of being able to get a game done to a high level of quality with quite a high frequency as well. And the person, like the friend of mine that worked at Microsoft, kept talking about Alan. They kept saying, Alan is unbelievable. Alan is like bang, 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 dead on, knows how to run the show, knows what he's doing, runs a tight ship, but not in a bad way, in a very, very good way, and is just amazing. So I found it funny now that Forza Motorsport has been so long now is that this was just me speculating, is that a symptom of Microsoft just totally letting go of the leash now and say, well, you guys do whatever. We're not going to bother you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You guys do whatever you want. I just found that funny. Don't give me that look, Jesse. I'm allowed to just speculate on stuff. It's just a discussion.
Everything we've always been told about Phil is that he's actually really into cracking the whip behind the scenes. Like, he is not an easy boss to work for when things aren't going well.
What?
He said that himself. That in meetings and stuff, he is very tough on the team as far as wanting things done and cracking the whip. He's talked about that a lot.
Interesting. Okay. Fair enough.
I just worried that there was a culture at Microsoft where they're like, don't push too hard on people. And the evidence would support that, I suppose, if you're us looking out from far away.
That's right.
Never
as outsiders looking in.
Yeah, sure, of course. It's the same thing, like you said. An outsider, you being an outsider looking in, you can see PlayStation allows a little bit of crunch here or there to get the job done. Like, it's purely like an outside observer.
It's not crunch. It's not crunch. It's passion. It's passion. It depends on your perspective. For some people, it's crunch. For others, it's passion. So it all depends on your angle on that one. They label it. Now, I don't even know what the hell Nintendo does. Nintendo keeps things so behind closed doors. I don't even want to know what goes on behind the scenes at Nintendo, because I reckon they'd be by far the worst, but it just gets hidden so well and no one knows about it. Nintendo would be horrible. But their games are amazing.
And they come out when they come out. I mean, maybe that's the way it should be, but
very much bug-free too.
And I don't want to be unreasonable, because in the same breath, I'll say that I was sick of Xbox putting out games when they weren't ready, like I said earlier in the show. So I also am happy that they're taking time. Like, a game like Fable could come out in 2 years from now. And it just may, because Xbox is like, why would we pull another repeat of another huge mistake that costs us so much money and so much momentum in the industry? If it takes more time, like, maybe Starfield would be ready like in January, February, but Todd Howard says, look, we can get it. We think we're ready for February. And Xbox is like, well, how much time do you think you really need? He's like, no, February's good. He's like, how about looking at the schedule, at getting it out of the way? So how about May? And they're like, all right, we'll just polish some corners up during that time. And our team can just, work at their own pace, and we'll just release on that day. We'll have it ready long before. We'll get reviews out early. And that's a far better situation. The only problem is, as Xbox fans, we've waited for 5 years, and it doesn't. It's not fun. But I'm not going to wait 5 years for Obsidian and Bethesda and all these studios to put out something that's half cooked. So I've told people, what do you want me to do? Games take 5 to 6 years. Like, they come at me like, Colt, you promised this. Like, I don't work at the studios, but right, because I've been excited about these games for a long time, but I am not going to sit and wait for these games to come out a year early just so I could get it sooner and have it get, a really lower score, get blasted by all the gaming fans, for me to feel like I didn't get the full experience, and all that stuff all happens at once. So we both have
in that interview, he said that they could have had Starfield out in November, just not to the overall quality that they are now going for. Like,
and the whole marketing and publishing arm of Starfield, like, they said that the team might have been ready, but even that stuff wasn't quite up to speed yet. So that kind of could have been like, tripping over all the gear that was in their arms and falling all over the place. And it's the right decision. It just sucks as Xbox fans. We've been told, like Aaron Greenberg said 2 weeks ago, wait for 2023. It's like, oh gosh, dang, that was the wrong message.
It depends though. Are you waiting for first party, or are you waiting for Game Pass? Because if they even hit 3/4 of what they've got announced already for the first half on Game Pass, it's way more than anyone can play.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 8 big games if you count first party plus Game Pass, right? You've got Atomic Heart, Stalker probably, and Wolong Fantasy, and then there's probably one more thing. And then there's Lies of P, thank you. And then there's 6 big games from Xbox, and from first party in 2023. So it's a very busy schedule, but
So
I don't know.
From everything you said there, I gathered two things. Number one, it's your fault we have no games.
Right.
And number two, a tangent, because you mentioned Fable, and it's sort of only a semi-tangent. Jez apparently, I didn't read the article, and I don't know if Jez was
There
misquoted.
isn't an article. I've been looking for it. He said it on the podcast, and I kept thinking it was an article. Yes.
Yeah, he said it on Xbox 2, and I think someone made an article out of it about Microsoft's insistence that Playground uses an in-house engine for Fable, which sounds odd to me. Because we were just talking about this, how Microsoft is so hands-off, and then Microsoft is also Epic's #1 client. They use Unreal Engine.
It's so dumb because they have in-house engines at Xbox Studios. And Jez said, I have the quote right here. The difficulty with their first-party games output have blamed to internal rules, as working causes unnecessary churn that sees Project Low's key staff on a higher than usual basis. I've been told internal politics over engine use has also led to developmental problems in games like Fable and Halo Infinite. Now, I'll stop there because Fable is using Forza tech, which Playground Games leads and whoever they've hired know Forza tech, but whoever they've hired also probably are like, I'm really good with Unreal and Unity. That's what I've done in school. That's what I did at my previous job. I'm like, well, we're using Forza tech here. And they're like, I guess I'll learn it on the job. Now your job takes 3 times longer. He goes on to say, as Microsoft sought to use its own tools rather than fully featured industry standards like Unreal Engine, which further exacerbates the problem around training contractors only to lose them mid-project. And that's close quote. And like you said, they've worked almost all their studios are using Unreal.
But maybe the problem with Fable is the #1 client.
Yes. I mean, their biggest coalition is like the Unreal Engine team. Ninja Theory is using Unreal Engine. Everybody's using Unreal Engine except for a couple studios.
I wonder if Jez was taken out of context there, because something you just said about the contractors, and I feel like that sounds more like Playground wants to use Forza tech, which is a problem for the contractors who know Unreal inside out and are now learning Forza tech.
I would be totally okay. I would be totally okay with Microsoft putting their foot down and saying, look, we started this project for 2 years on Forza tech. You're not flipping to Unreal Engine. Like, you've got all this work done. Stay the course with Forza tech.
That's right.
Iron out your problems. That's it. And they have Xbox and Microsoft have every reason to give them that direction.
That
work
I
with
can
your
understand.
team. If you need an extra year to iron out and make your problem solving, to narrow some things down, because and I'm probably going to work on a video for this that'll be really in depth, but Forza tech with the seasonal changes, the physics engine, the beautiful world, the ability to stream the world at high speed allows you to do some amazing things. Maybe there'll be some sort of translation from what Horizon does into this RPG. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be difficult. My job when I started a long time ago used to be a CAD drafter. I don't know if this will get lost when I explain this, but if anybody knows what computer-aided drafting is, AutoCAD is the industry standard. And the place where I went, they were using something called MicroStation. And I'd only taken 1/4 of MicroStation. The rest of my 4 years of schooling was on AutoCAD and a year of my first job. So when I got to this new job, they're like, oh, we use this other program. And I'm like, I don't know that. And this is exactly what would happen if you'd spent your whole career mastering what you do in Unreal. And someone says, oh, we're working in Forza tech. And you're like, oh. And you can look at, I'm sure you can look at Forza tech and go, okay, a lot of this is a lot like Unreal. But then I can't drag and move, and I can't do my method that I've spent my whole career building up, and it slows things down. So I think that's
that's what I mean. So I just wonder if there's a blending of miscommunication, maybe taking Jez out of context, blended with a dash of Jez being drunk, and
and Jez also. A lot of his comment is probably more narrowed in on 343, the contractors losing them mid, the slipstream engine being a problem.
Because the way the article framed what Jez said, the article that I read made it sound like Microsoft is forcing them to use an in-house engine rather than Unreal. And I'm like, that doesn't sound right at all. Like, that just, for so many reasons. Like,
doesn't sound like Microsoft, sure.
It doesn't sound like current Microsoft. That would force.
But did it get you to click? Because that's what they want.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's exactly right. It did get me to click like a moron. It's just, I don't know. It was just weird. And that's a tangent, but still kind of relates to what we were talking about. It's funny. We barely actually talked about ABK at all. We just ended up talking about Microsoft's first-party studios, which, to be honest, doesn't bother me all that much because I'm so over the ABK stuff. It's all anyone talks about, and it's just, oh my God, it's so exhausting. I saw a random comment in the chat earlier, and this isn't relevant to anything. This is just something I want to talk about. David Castillo. Them pillows behind you look nice, Nick. They do. Thanks for that. I like those pillows. One's an Iron Man pillow, and the other one is Streets of Rage. That's like the Streets of Rage city. I found those pillows online. They're cool. Now, do we want to talk any more about ABK? Is there any more to discuss, Colt?
I mean, the chat doesn't love talking about... You and Gaz are the
masters of it. You're the masters of
I mean, you do have to bring it up every show, but when it's been showing up in the news cycle the past month, I've just rolled my eyes. I'm like, there's nothing of substantial update from this. You know, feels like they're making us feel small, and it just goes back and forth.
Sony's, and I mean, there is a point to that. That's what Sony does. Sony tries to shrink the market because they want to protect their little empire, which is fair enough.
Well, let's end the ABK with one last question mark. Do you, Nick, believe that Microsoft sat and hunkered down low and put a cover over their head for the VGAs because of the FTC microscope?
No,
I don't either.
I don't personally. I'm not saying they did or didn't. I'm just saying I personally don't believe that. Because as the regulators have shown to us thus far, they've got no fucking idea about the video game industry whatsoever.
Yeah, so they don't even know what they don't know what a legacy title is, so they kind of like it makes both of them look like they're lying. Like that was the whole thing last week. Like they said they weren't gonna make exclusives from Bethesda, and it's like, well, we said legacy titles, and they're like, we don't know what that word means.
The EU came out and said, no, we didn't. The EU determined it doesn't matter if they make it exclusive or not. That was their determination. We don't care if they make it exclusive.
I've got a question though. Why isn't Microsoft allowed to have exclusive content?
It's a double
standard. Is
there
a reason why? Like, I don't understand. Like, is it just the money? Is it just the case of, but Microsoft's got the most money, so they could just buy everything? And it's like, but they haven't been buying everything, even when they could have. They haven't been.
It's a rationale that Microsoft will just buy everything. Because once you let them buy one thing, it's fear-mongering, mostly from PlayStation fans, right? It's fear-mongering to the nth degree where, where they just don't want Xbox to buy Activision and Blizzard because when will they stop? It's like, and like one or two more purchases, like they're not going to buy another publisher. This is all about the mobile thing. We blah, blah, blah. I've said it for a year, but Xbox wants to get this over with so they can have the mobile and PC foothold that they've never had. And then they're going to go buy a couple of other studios, maybe IO Interactive and maybe Avalanche or maybe some Japanese studio.
They'll go for a Japanese publisher or two, which are much, much smaller. But this is what I don't understand. So if ABK goes through, and I am saying if, it's not like they can then turn around and go buy EA. Like that will get blocked 110%. Like the only way Microsoft would be crazy enough to go for an EA or a Take-Two after acquiring ABK would be if they tried to do it straight away. before they became number 1 as a result of ABK. And they'd be like, oh, look, guys, we're still number 3. Let us buy Take-Two. Let us buy EA. But if they buy ABK and over the next 2-3 years, we suddenly see them just rise and all of a sudden they're number 1 in the market, do you honestly believe that regulators wouldn't block them from buying another massive publisher? Like, I would assume. Now, we all know what assuming does. It makes an ass out of you and me. But I would assume
But you're saying assume.
Yeah, assume.
Assume.
Yeah. Yeah, assume.
You make an ash out of you and me. Your accent. I would assume.
I would assume that after ABK, they're probably not going to go for any other major publishers.
Exactly.
I would assume. I still think they're going to have a crack at a couple of smaller Japanese ones, like a Sega or
they
a Capcom
obviously wouldn't
whatever.
want. They don't want to go after a major publisher either. Like, yeah, I think they would feel if Activision Blizzard closes and they get the acquisition, the merger goes through, they're gonna be like, okay, that's done.
We've got a lot.
We'll never do that again.
We've got a lot. Yeah. We've got a lot here. So,
but they're probably going to buy 2 or 3 more studios, like you said. A Japanese. I don't know if they'll buy a publisher. I would assume they want to get a really good, hardy Japanese or Asian development studio. I don't know.
I think.
Are they going to run into friction if they try to get another publisher?
Not.
I mean,
who
would they get?
Small, but the Japanese ones are so
like
small
Capcom
in comparison. I think it'd be Capcom and or Sega. I think. Because if they want to have a genuine, if they want to have a genuine Japanese presence, and again, we're taking them at their word, and they're saying that they take Japan seriously. So,
yeah,
if they're taking Japan seriously, they're going to need a genuine Japanese presence. They're not going to get that with just a studio. They're only going to get that with a publisher. So, I still think they're going to have a crack. Whether they get it or not is another story. But I still think they're going to have a crack at a Japanese publisher or 2. And again, I'm sticking by Sega and Capcom because they're the ones I want, and they're still the ones I think they would get.
You want Dead Rising 5?
I don't know.
You don't like that series?
I love Dead Rising 3. 4, but my desire for Sega and Capcom, I think, is still nostalgia driven more so than anything else. Like this, I hold on to this hope that under Microsoft, they'll start to mine more of their old IPs to feed Game Pass. But that's just my thing about it. Like modern Sega, I don't really think I buy anything modern Sega, not even Sonic.
Right, yeah, I don't either.
Capcom, I still stick with Resident Evil and Street Fighter. But even Capcom, that's it. For me, it's all nostalgia driven. So I have this dream where Microsoft acquires Capcom and then they bring back Maximo and they bring back Power Stone. They acquire Sega and they bring back Golden Axe and Shinobi. But again, that's all wishful thinking. And I think that's where most of my desire for those 2 comes from. But yeah, I don't know. A lot of the fear just seems very unfounded. Like there's this idea that Microsoft's just going to buy everyone, which it's not going to happen. Like it's just not.
I actually think it's the majority of the planet is in line with what you're saying. Like it's an unfounded fear, or it's an unfounded disagreement, because most people are like we've seen a lot of these other regulatory places from different countries are like, yeah, let's go for it. Or these other unions or other people have supported it. And anyone who's done the research on what Activision has gone through with their employment and the treatment, like they know that they'll be much better under one of the best companies in the world that treats their employees so well that they refuse to crack the whip, right? And it's the frustration of people like Brad Smith, Satya Nadella, and Phil Spencer are like, why are we getting friction? Like they knew they'd get some friction, of course, because it's a big deal, but like, why aren't you paying attention? Like, this is good. The only difference is you've got like Embracer buys everything, but their games go to everybody. But this is a situation where every game from Activision and Blizzard, you record this part if you want to share this somewhere, but every game from Activision and Blizzard moving forward will be multi-platform. maybe the Blizzard survival
all of Activision
game.
Blizzard or just Call of Duty?
I think at least for the next 10 years, every game that comes out from Activision Blizzard will be multi-platform, and maybe most of them in the future. Like if there's an Overwatch 3, which I don't think there would be, I think they would just leave it multi-platform and let everyone let them make money off it. I think Call of Duty, they've said the next 10 years. I don't know. I mean, maybe in 10 years, Xbox plans to be so big they don't need PlayStation to make money off of. But all of these IPs we're going to see over the next few years from Activision Blizzard will be multi-plat. Maybe that Blizzard survival game will be, since it's a new IP, Xbox is going to say, hey, that's ours. And I hope they do.
I don't reckon. I reckon everything
what's coming out, Nick, that could possibly... What's coming out over the next few years or several years?
Well, we don't know. That's the thing. So the stuff we know about, Diablo 4, Call of Duty and all that, yes, they're going to be multi-plat. But I think everything going forward that we don't know about and isn't announced would probably be Xbox exclusive. So
I just wonder how long that would be.
If Microsoft were to hypothetically bring back Tony Hawk, so let's say they acquire ABK, deal goes through and feels like, guys, we need Tony Hawk back. We want an exclusive skateboarding game. I think the next Tony Hawk would only be on Xbox and PC.
You think that's the MO?
Yeah.
Poor Tony Hawk. All those games failed except for that amazing remaster, which brought back everyone's... Oh, gosh, it was amazing. Yeah. But my problem is those studios are all like, make a freaking Cybertron game, please.
Yeah, I know. Please. But I don't know if they still have the license. Do they still have the Transformers license?
Yeah, I mean, no, that's why everything got delisted. They lost it.
Yeah, I don't think they've got it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Anyway, I don't know if I want to talk
about ABK. We'll go nuts.
I think that's enough. ABK. Now, Colt is new to this. Colt, have you ever watched Name a Game? Have you ever seen Name a Game? Our new segment, game show, quiz show that's sweeping the podcast world?
I have, yes.
So you're going to be playing for John today, but we've talked enough about Xbox topics. It's time to play Name a Game.
Oh boy.
Which is presented to you by Manscaped. Jesse, are we playing the video?
I will play it now. I was waiting for you to shut the hell up.
Okay. Now look, I know it's time for Name a Game. Now, I understand that here at XboxEra, we have a reputation for having a bit of fun, especially when we have our guests on. We like to have a laugh. You know, John and I, BRiT and Aussie, we like to be smartasses. We like to have a laugh. But before we start Name a Game, I need to get serious for a second. Now, Colt, I don't know about you, but there's a serious and totally not made up disease that affects a lot of men around the world. And the name of this disease is Pubis Megalis. Now, roughly translated from this new hybrid language, Greek Latin, Pubis Megalis translates roughly to massive bush. And I don't know if you're a sufferer, Colt. Judging by the beard, you probably are. Now, at the moment, there's no cure for Pubis Megalis. There is treatment, though. The team over at Manscaped are working on a treatment that's very, very effective against Pubis Megalis, and it's called the Lawnmower 4.0. So while it's not a cure, it does help with ongoing treatment of Pubis Megalis. Do you suffer from that affliction, Colt?
I used to.
Not anymore.
I used to until I ordered a large roll of duct tape and I wrapped myself with it and left it for 3 days, and then in the shower I just
ripped off the Band-Aid.
Yep.
Well, Colt, what you should
do... I can't say I do own the product that you're holding, so I can support what you're about to say, but go forward.
What you should do is head on over to Manscaped and use our code XboxEra to get 20% off and free shipping and get yourself a Lawnmower 4.0 to help with the ongoing treatment of Pubis Megalis, because it's a very serious and totally not made up disease. and it's something that we need to rid the world of ASAP. So head on over. The boys at Manscaped will help you out. Anyway,
20% off. Use the code
20% off and free shipping. Yes.
Nice.
Now,
all right, yeah, let me pop myself up.
Here we go. So today on Name a Game, yes, and thank you, Jesse brother. Always use. I don't have it on right now, but always use the guard. Always. I didn't use the guard, but always use the guard. Always.
He did use the guard. He's just kidding. All right. Welcome to Name a Game.
I did use the guard. I didn't use the guard, but I did use the guard. Now,
I am gonna
Colt.
just kick you out.
Colt is playing. Colt is playing for John today.
Okay.
Because John's not here. So for the day, just for today, Colt, you are John. So do you know how Name a Game works?
You could run through the rules for your audience, and then
I will run through them as the host of Name a Game. I come up with a stupid category. Today's category is in honor of High on Life releasing games that feature illegal drug usage or are about the drug trade.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So I go through. I think I've got 9 different games. For each one, I will find a way of saying their name, either just straight up synonyms or something stupid and funny, and you have to guess which game I am talking about.
And every game is related to illegal drugs.
It either has you use them, it's about their trade. It could be like a cop game or you're a drug trader game. And
you buzz in with your name. You buzz in with
I do
your
not
name.
have a Go XLR, so you buzz in by saying your name, then I'll call
Colt,
you, and then you say it.
And then you get in first.
And once I
your
have a
name
Go
is
XLR,
Colt.
I'll get an
Don't
actual
say
buzzer,
John,
but...
say Colt. I know you're John for the
say
day,
both.
but
I'll
you
understand
say Colt.
it.
Okay. Should we disable the chat?
Chat is very good at it. Okay, disabling chat on YouTube is a fucking pain in the ass, but let me see. I can.
I could just. Can I collapse?
They all think I cheat. I don't cheat. I've lost 3 times.
Here, I'll just go. Cheat. I'll go full screen so I can't see the chat.
Yeah,
I will trust you.
Why would I
cheat?
cheat?
You're a good man.
It's a podcast.
And unlike Nick, I trust you.
Yeah, like why cheat? It's a podcast. We're here to have fun.
All right.
I'm ready.
Question number 1. It's an easy one. Everyone will get this right away. It is great larceny vehicle.
Colt.
Nick.
Colt first for me on my
Grand Theft Auto.
Correct.
Is there latency when we do this?
Of course there is. I'm
is.
like 3 hours from you. I'm like 20 hours from him. There's going to be latency.
Oh, okay.
I
would actually be curious. Look at the chat and see if it was very close in the saying of the name. Because they'll hear it all at the same time.
It should be whatever they see on me because it's what I'm getting. So it should be the same. All right.
Good.
So
Nick's smarter than me, so I have a slight advantage. That'll help.
+1 to 6. Annoyingly enough, I need to go into the scoreboard every time to get it to update lately. It's real stupid. All right. Number 2 is ultimate discomfort. Ultimate discomfort. Ultimate discomfort.
Discomfort.
Oh, I got Colt. Max
Colt.
Payne.
Correct.
Oh my god. Colt is very good at this. Holy shit. He wins. Next one and he wins.
Right, next one is very long. Let me get it here. It is Not Good Young Men, Vice City Put Down. Not good,
What
one
the
word.
hell? What?
Young Men, one word. Not good, Young Men, Vice City Put Down.
That's not a game, though, is it?
This is a video game.
The fuck? I mean, not good young men, bad boys, but
You're thinking the same thing I am, but it's not a video.
yeah, I'm thinking bad boy. Was there a Bad Boys video game?
I mean, you got to answer. I can't just tell you.
Say it one more time.
Not good with a hyphen. Young Men with a hyphen. Vice City Put Down.
It's like Bad Boys Miami Slam or something. I don't.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's
right.
bad.
Yeah.
If I didn't know there was a bad. I don't think.
Are
we're
we
gonna
giving
get
up on
this
that one, Nick?
Yeah, I'm giving up. I don't know. It's Bad Boys something. What is it? You're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
Oh, sorry, because It is Bad Boys Miami Takedown. It was a very bad PS2 game.
God, I didn't even know it existed.
It has the worst. You should watch it. It has the worst voice acting of all time. It's just got two white guys doing Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. It's hilarious.
That could actually be really good.
It's really funny to watch.
I just knew Bad Boys because not good young men, so Bad Boys. But I didn't even know there was a Bad Boys video game. Okay.
Oh yeah, you're lucky you never played it. All right, next one for the win if Colt gets it. Spectre Surveillance Backcountry. Backcountry is one word. Spectre, like a ghost. Ooh. Surveillance Backcountry. One word.
Nick.
Go ahead, Nick.
Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Correct.
Oh, that was awesome. Wow, that was great. I was thinking Spy Hunter. Oh wow, that was really
Ghost
good.
Recon Wildlands has drugs in it.
Oh yeah,
it's
of course
about
it
the drug
does.
trade. The entire thing is about going after.
Is it? I haven't played it. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't played it. Okay, I need this to tie. I need this to tie the game.
All right, next one. Oh my God, this next one's so long. Let me adjust this in OBS. Here we go. It is 1/2 pence plasma in the seashore.
Nick.
1/2's one word.
Nick.
Go ahead,
50
Nick.
cent. 50 cent. Blood in the sand or whatever it is. Blood
Correct.
In the sand?
You got it.
Oh,
Dang you! I didn't realize you were putting the name on the screen. I was just trying to concentrate. Oh, that was good.
Yes, because I'm like, Jason Ronald gave me a free copy of 50 Cent Blood in the Sand, and that's something in my head just triggered there. I was like, okay.
Dang it.
Okay.
All right, for the
This
win.
is for the win.
If either of you get it, you win. And nobody like Nick, so please, Colt, win. All right, it is Notorious Opening Fluorescence. Notorious.
What?
Opening Fluorescence. Notorious Opening Fluorescence. Fluorescence as in...
Nick.
Infamous Last Light.
Nick.
Oh, Colt.
Nick.
Sorry, you already got it.
Infamous First Light.
Correct.
First Light, yeah. You got it.
That was a close one.
Yes.
All right, I got a few more we can get through real quick. Congratulations, Nick.
5-3.
Sorry, John. I mean, John's mostly losing anyway, so...
But man, Colt did real well.
Yeah.
Colt did
He almost
really
got
well.
you.
Update the scoreboard though.
Are we gonna do the? Are you gonna do the rest of them like you normally like to do?
Scoreboard. Yes.
Jesse usually because I've told Jesse in case we have a situation where we just can't think of them, like you know how you and I didn't get Bad Boys. In case that happens multiple times, I said to Jesse, have like a few ready in case we miss a bunch. And then Jesse has this insistence on going through all of them instead of saving them for another time.
People like it, so we do it. Next one is Lofty on Being. Pretty easy.
Lofty on Beam.
Lofty on Being. Being. B-E-I-N-G.
Colt.
Oh.
Colt.
High on Life.
Yes.
Correct.
God damn it.
I make some of them easy. I'll be hard.
As soon as I realized he was saying on being, that's when it clicked in my head, but Colt already had it.
All right. Next one is Snitch. One word, Snitch.
Colt.
Colt.
Narc.
Narc.
Correct. Damn, if I had
Classic.
All right, and I got one last one. Oh. It is Combat Zone Unyielding. Combat Zone, one word. Combat Zone Unyielding.
Nick.
I got it. Oh, you got
Battlefield. Battlefield. Shit. Which one?
I got it.
Unyielding. Battlefield. Shit.
4, 2, 1.
Shit.
Colt for the steal.
Colt. Battlefield Hardline.
Correct. You got
And I
that
got
is
that
the latest
game too.
episode of Name a Game, won yet again by Nick, which I think might seal it for you. I can't remember. What do we get? Like
it's
another 1 or
5-3.
2? Yeah.
It's 5-3, so John.
If John
can't
has to win twice in a row to tie it, that's it.
But look, next week's the last week, so it's over.
Oh, we're not. There's a New Year's one on the 31st. Are we not doing that?
Yeah,
20, and we are going the 23rd next week, by the way. Friday, the 23rd, not our normal Saturday slot.
We'll decide if we're going to go all the way.
If you
to
win
the
next
very,
week, it's
very
over no matter
episode.
what, anyways. Yes, thank you for the latest episode of Name a Game. I will see all of you later.
Yes. Tell me that's not like the greatest quiz show ever. Colt.
Yeah, that is pretty good. That is pretty good. You really have to use the old brain, huh?
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? It's really, really good. I like it a lot. Now, with Name a Game over, we've talked about treatment for Pubis Megalis. Make sure you hit that like button. If you're watching, I don't know how many are watching. I apologize. How many are watching, Jesse?
200. 208.
205.
Okay.
208. Yeah,
so if we can, let's get the likes to 208 as well, if possible. If not for me, because I know that people don't like me, do it for Colt, because Colt's on. So hit the likes for Colt at least. Now, we also have a Patreon. As I mentioned earlier, anyone who joins the Patreon, our friend nrXic has been kind enough to give us an absolute shit ton of codes for Omega Rally Championship. So even if you join up to our Patreon for $1, you still get Omega Rally Championship. The Patreon is what helps us do cool stuff like Name a Game and how everything looks so nice and professional. And it helps us do stuff like the book, and it helps us do stuff like everything we do. Also, I think there was an update on the book, wasn't there? I think the digital version of the book.
We're trying to get a digital version out to everyone on the 24th.
Yes. So look forward to that. Hopefully that's a nice Christmas present. But yes, so we love our patrons very much. And another perk of the patrons for the patrons is they get access to a super secret cool club on the forum where they can ask questions for the show each week, which we will cover right now. So without further ado, Jesse, we'll go with our first question, which is from Topp. Hello, Nick, Colt, and Jesse. First, I wanted to mention that I found XboxEra through your collab on Colt's podcast. So I want to say thank you. Anyways, on to my question. Where is that real? He found it through the...
I think it would be the opposite. I think they'd find me through your stuff, but that's cool.
Yeah, because Topp's been with us for a while now, so that must have been one of the very, very early times that either we were on, must have been when I was on Colt's show. Anyways, on to my question. The great Mighty Poo is clearly the best boss in any video game ever. What is the second best boss fight you've ever had? Oh, God. It's definitely not the Warden Eternal.
No, I hate that thing.
Halo 5, Jesus Christ.
If you have a couple splinter grenades and a scatter shot, you can take them out in 3 seconds, even on Legendary.
Whatever.
We fought probably, 10,000 bosses in our life in video games. And
I know, man. It's
let me just come up with one I just thought of off the top of my head. It was the crazy killer plant in Bulletstorm, where you're sliding around a circular battle arena while it's dropping spores, and you can kick fiery barrels at it, and it had like tentacle arms made out of plants. And I don't know, that just came to my mind that it was one that was a little bit frustrating, but I still enjoyed doing all the crazy different maneuvers you had in Bulletstorm.
But there's so many memorable bosses, like from Zelda games, from Mario games, from your action Devil May Cry style game. Like one that stood out in my mind, and I don't know if it's because it was a great boss fight or just maybe I was so in awe of what I was seeing on the screen at the time, was the Hydra fight in God of War, in the original God of War from 2005. When you start God of War underneath a boat. You're down the bottom of a boat. And you wake up and you come up to the top and it's belting down rain and there's zombies and whatever and monsters attacking you. And you work your way along this giant boat, and then you come to a Hydra boss fight. Like 3 or 4 Hydra heads are fighting you. And it was just one of the coolest things, one of the coolest boss fights I remember having. Again, not so much because the boss fight was great, but I think just because I was in awe of what I was seeing. But I feel like the Mario and Zelda games probably have the best. The 3D ones have the best boss fights. Like Super Mario Odyssey has some great boss fights.
I love fighting. Crap, I can't remember his name. In Super Mario Brothers 2, you have to throw all of the stuff into his mouth.
My god, that's the worst Super Mario Brothers game.
That's my favorite.
Oh my god,
that's my favorite. I like that one more than 1 and 3, but I'm weird.
Better than Odyssey.
What?
But no, as far as the old NES ones, 2's my favorite. Because it's so weird. It's not even a Mario Brothers game. They just ripped it off and reskinned it.
It's just this weird random game. Oh my god.
I remember being really young and like shaking and sweating while I was trying to grab those things because he's up on a second platform and you have to angle and get up there and dodge and throw stuff into it. And you'd swallow the object. And
I mean,
I fought so many bosses.
Does Punch Out count? Because technically they're all boss fights. Does Punch Out count?
Sure. Who's your favorite person to take down in Punch Out? In the original one?
Ooh, in the original one? I mean, Mike Tyson was a prick.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm just trying to think. Maybe was it Bald Bull? Was it
Bald Bull? Yeah. He had a couple of really fast uppercuts.
Ooh, yeah, like almost.
There were some of them really satisfying to take down, like Soda Popinski and Macho Man. Like they were so awkward. It didn't feel good hitting them. The animation.
And what about the fat dude with the belly? And you got to hit him.
King Hippo was a pain in the butt. Like you didn't have to really do anything other than alternate your punches. I've actually played through those games, and I remember how to fight almost all of them.
Yep. Yeah. I still play through them almost monthly. I love Super Punch Out especially. I actually like Super Punch Out more than Punch Out.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, it's got a little different
Maybe
rules.
That's my hot take. Hot take. I like Super Punch Out more than Punch Out.
I've only messed around with Super Punch Out. I've kind of played it a little bit on the Switch, and I'm like, oh, I don't know this game because it has slightly different rules, but
yes,
the one's always
it is.
It's
like
famous.
You don't in Super Punch Out, you don't build up stars. So in Punch Out and in Punch Out Wii, you get those stars, which are your super attacks with well-timed hits.
Counters.
When the boss is about to hit you. The counters, yes. Sorry. Where in
that's a little
Punch
different.
Out, Super Punch Out, you build up a meter just through punching. You don't have to counter. You just build up this meter, and once the meter is like flashing, you can start hitting faster. You can start doing super punches.
Cool.
It's just I love Super Punch Out. Super Punch Out's amazing. I want a new Punch Out on Switch, a brand new Punch Out, but I would gladly take a remake of Wii Punch Out in HD. I would take that. And Nintendo loves doing that and reselling us our games multiple times over. So
you still get boxing games anymore. Like the Fight Night is supposed to return eventually. Yes, and I wouldn't mind a Punch Out ripoff on Xbox. I would play that. Yep.
I'll take it. For now,
I like ripoffs.
RetroArch on Xbox. Yep. And you can get Punch Out straight on your Xbox. Okay. Next question. Hytham G. Oh boy. I've watched Avatar Way of the Water. And I'm not spoiling for the ones that didn't see it yet, but I'm just going to say this is for the Halo and Gears movies. If they had multiple directors and producers, if they did these two movies at the same time for these IP, when asked about this question before, when Taylor was on your show, and when I asked about movies that had multiple directors and producers of a movie at the same time, and let me know what you guys think of this idea. All right. Gears of War movie. Director, Denis Villeneuve. Steven Spielberg. Matt Reeves. Quentin Tarantino. Both. Matthew Vaughn. Gareth Evans. James Gunn. Producer. U-Bowl. Christopher Nolan.
It's just like his wish list. I mean, Neil Blomkamp was supposed to do that Halo movie 10, 15
that would have
years
been
ago.
so good. That would have been so good. And
whatever, I don't know what happened to the project.
I don't know, but it basically became District 9.
Right, which is a great movie. I like that.
Oh my God, what a movie. Halo movie director Duncan Jones, Joseph Kosinski, James Mangold. Both roles James Cameron, Neil Blomkamp. Producer Peter Jackson, Steven Spielberg. P.S. I watched Violent Night and it was a crude, violent, funny action movie. Not spoiling it for those who didn't see it yet, but what a crazy Christmas movie. Yes, Joseph Kosinski. I still think he's the director that could do Halo justice. I think he's the guy that directed Tron Legacy and Top Gun Maverick.
Okay.
He's a very, very good director. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like Halo and Gears projects in the past have been troubled enough where they probably don't need multiple directors and stuff. Maybe just get one person with a vision and let them try and fulfill that vision. Preferably Joseph Kosinski. Hopefully the Gears TV show is good. Will you be watching that Gears TV show, Colt?
I haven't. Yeah, or I will be. Yeah.
I said, will you be? I haven't.
I haven't.
Do you know something we don't? You've been getting.
I mean, I normally don't. I normally haven't like jumped on the video game license stuff. I hope to see some good things from the Gears show, but like I didn't watch the Assassin's Creed movie. I didn't.
It's not good. It is not.
Yeah,
good.
I know. I mean, I don't ever hear. I didn't watch the Halo TV show because I didn't hear enough people that are friends with me like praise it.
The second half of it picks up. It starts not great, but the second half really picks up, and it ends in a way that makes you wish season 1 had kept going on the track it was going, if that makes sense. Like, it was just getting good, and then it ended.
And the show's still going. Like, they're going to do a second one, right?
Yes, they're doing a second.
They're filming it right now in Iceland,
yes.
I believe.
I am currently in Iceland filming the.
You are, yes, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a stunt double whose name is Pablo Schreiber, but I am traveling between Iceland and Australia, racking up a lot of frequent flyer miles. Okay. BRiT. Hello, everyone. Happy holidays. Do you do New Year's resolutions? And if so, what are your game or entertainment related resolutions? What resolutions would you like to see the general gaming and entertainment industry take on? Do you do resolutions, Colt?
No, because I'm just stubborn when
I won't stick to them.
No, I'm just stubborn because everyone says they're going to change their life because it's January 1st. I think it's dumb. I know. Like at a time when I was like really starting to work out, I started in November and I just kept going through, and then all the New Year's resolution people packed the gym I was going to. I'm like, what are you doing here? The tags are still on their outfits in the back.
Yeah. And everything looks like fresh and clean and brand new because they just bought it during the Boxing Day sales.
Yep. So, but funny enough, since I do the content creation thing on YouTube, I do try and start the year off right, because now's the time where we kind of wind down. We're going to spend time with family, and then when the new year starts, I'm like, I'm gonna have a really great year doing content creation. So that would probably be a sort of New Year's resolution. I'm gonna put myself right here, because I have to come into this room and set up this desk and go, am I gonna work several hours on my next piece of content, or am I gonna sit back there and play High on Life? So yeah. What about you, Nick?
What resolutions would you like to see the industry take on?
Obviously, not releasing games to patch them 1 to 2 weeks after the release.
Yes.
I played some great games.
Or a day.
Like the High on Life ran like garbage the first night. The next day or next 24 hours, beautiful. they had it fixed, like it was some kind of bug. It's an industry standard. I'll actually go to the root of the problem. I would like for developers to tell their publishers, we need 1 more week. And I know that's probably too difficult with marketing and everything, but most of these developers really just need 1 more week after they've released the game to fix problems that they knew were there and they were in the middle of working on. But it's got to be rough for them. Just kidding.
Crack that whip. Okay. Everyone's Idol Goro. Well, it's been a while since we got a question from Everyone's Idol Goro. Hello, panel. Nick, did you hear the AFL have backed the ABK deal? Is this a source of pride? That's a bit of an inside baseball joke, because the AFL, like when you say AFL in Australia, that means the Australian Football League. That's how we know AFL. But obviously, in this case, that is not the case. Also, what is everyone's favorite letter of the alphabet for games? E.g., H for Halo, etc. Using T or A for the and A don't count. Best wishes. Yeah, boy. Favorite letter of the alphabet for games?
Favorite letter of the alphabet for games?
Yeah. So my assumption is the way you interpret that question is, I guess, pick a letter that would be the first letter of games you love, of a lot of games you love.
B, probably.
For example.
BioShock, Borderlands.
Okay. B.
Batman Arkham.
Yeah, there you go. What about you, Nick? What comes to mind? You can't think about it too long or you'll crack your skull.
I guess for me it would be S. Sonic the Hedgehog, Streets of Rage 2, Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario anything.
Solid. Yeah, I like that.
Skyward Sword, even though that's Z for Zelda. Yeah, probably S. Super Metroid. Yeah, probably yes. If I'm just being off the top of my head, I'm sure if I thought about it more, I could think of another
that's not
letter.
fair. You could use all the super games that have super in the naming.
Super. That's right. Anything with super.
That's a solid pick.
I'm just trying to think if G counts. There's not really much in G. Only GoldenEye. Some Gears. GoldenEye, Gears.
Gungrave Gore.
What?
I tried Gungrave Gore. I played
Guitar
the first
Hero?
part of the mission, and I was like,
Game's terrible.
Yeah.
What?
Everyone was lining up
Gungrave
at
Gore.
PAX to play it. It was, you couldn't get on hands-on because everyone was hogging the machines. But yeah, Gungrave Gore didn't do it.
Okay.
Ghost Recon's had some, 99 Rookin
S&D.
says Ghost Recon's had some really good releases here or there that I've really liked. Ghost Recon
Cool.
Future Soldier is my favorite. It's dang good.
So Colt was B and I was S. So BS.
There you go.
Both Colt and I are famous for.
Yeah, Trav says M. I was going to say M as well.
Yeah, Mass Effect, Modern Warfare, Metroid. Yeah, that is a good one. So many.
What a weird
letters.
question.
So little time. Okay. Speaking of, Jesse brother. Happiest of Sundays, Nick. And happy Saturday, Travis brother. And to you as well, Colt.
Thank you.
What's cracking, sir? It says, and then in brackets, Seattle. What joke am I missing here? What's
Kraken? Kraken.
Yeah,
the local
like the
hockey team,
animal, like the
Seattle
mythical
Kraken.
creature, Kraken.
Oh,
And
well,
what's
I mean, I'm
Kraken?
from Washington State, maybe. That's what
Right,
Travis
okay.
is talking
For the
about.
Seattle Kraken, yes.
Yeah, I don't watch
enough.
the Kraken. I'm
Best
not
sport.
like I'm not big into that sport, but
That's one.
Okay. Question is for you, Mr. Eastwood.
Mr.
What game are you most excited about for 2023, and why is it Diablo 4?
No, I'm
Is
not
it Diablo
I'm not
4?
a Diablo aficionado. I was recently playing Diablo 3 with Gaz and some other people a couple months ago, and I was like, I am most excited about the game no one cares about for next year.
Redfall?
Starfield will be one of my favorites, but I think I'm going to get to play this one first, and it's Dead Island 2, and I cannot wait to
You say
play that
that.
game.
Do you know they just delayed it? It's coming out
To
in April
April.
2nd now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I knew that. Yeah.
I don't trust
Dead
it. I
Island,
bet you they delay it again. I bet you it ends up in
Yeah, they
October
probably
or
will.
November.
I didn't
I have
mind Dead
no
Island.
faith in that one.
I thought
I
Dead
like
Island
Dead
was
Island
alright.
a lot.
I didn't mind it.
You think they'll
Yeah.
delay it again, Jesse? I don't know.
I do.
Probably.
That game has been cursed. It has been dated multiple times. It has been then delayed by years after being dated.
I mean, I know all of the history behind Dead Island 2, all of it.
Mhm.
I've made several videos on when it was re-emerging and when it was going back into hiding. So, I don't know. This sounds like they just need a little more time to make sure it was ready to rock.
I
We'll
hope.
see.
I'm looking forward to it. I've got the review code request in already, so here's hoping.
Okay.
Yeah, people like those. I don't even get an answer back from people when I ask for review codes. Hi, I'm Colt Eastwood. I have 150,000 subscribers. I'd like to review your game, and they're like, delete.
I can get you all the
That
emails.
seems
you need.
odd to me. Like at the very
Yeah.
least, you'd think you'd get influencer copies and stuff. Even for
I-
Twitter, you got a big Twitter following.
I don't know. I don't know what it is, but maybe I just don't.
Sandbox strat is very good if you are a content creator.
Oh no, I mean,
I'll send you the link.
Okay, but the problem with reviews is sometimes there's like a big game I don't want to review it. A game like Dead Island 2, I just want to sit down and play it. I don't want to be taking notes, capturing everything.
Yeah,
and then another quirk of Dead Island and Dying Light is you have a really high chance of being demonetized for the footage. YouTube is really, really good. Half of my videos about those two games have been demonetized for the violent, up close, gory content.
Interesting.
It's pretty solid. So be careful out there. If it cares, who cares?
Yeah,
I'm excited. Okay. I'm excited for Dead Island 2 and Starfield probably more than anything. But we are pretty spoiled for this coming year for games.
I am probably Tears of the Kingdom and Ben Fox.
When's that supposed to come out?
I think it's early next year. Because
you guys had
the
him
creative
on
director
2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Talked a lot about feet in that episode of the show. He talked a lot about feet. You should go back and watch it. It's a good episode. He's a very good quiz master.
That's good. Yeah,
and I think we were a big hit with the foot fetish community because that episode broke like 20,000 views out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's got many views.
Yeah, that's right. It did. Yeah, that's good.
That was full on.
And that's another exclusive for Xbox in 23.
Yeah, Game Pass,
and then replaced. Yeah. So Xbox actually has about 8
for next year
first-party exclusive games, and then, like Jesse and I were saying, like 3 or 4 big third-party Game Pass releases. It's going to be nuts.
Big year.
I have no idea how we are going to cover it. None at all.
Yeah.
There's way too much.
Yeah.
I'm already working on 2 things for January. I'm working on
this
Persona and Monster Hunter already.
This year, Xbox took off and PlayStation and Nintendo made all the games. Next year, it's all on Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo are taking the year off. It's good. It's good that they think of us when they do this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 99 Rukin. Happy holidays, gentlemen. My question today, if Microsoft made an Xbox Smash Brothers after the Activision deal is finished, what song would they use for the intro? For me, it would be Fall Out Boy Champion. Also, are rumors true that Sony's working on a PlayStation All-Stars 2? And would that incite Microsoft to make their own to compete? And I'm not talking about KI2. Where did this rumor about PlayStation doing a PlayStation All-Stars 2 come from?
I don't know. I just assumed it was a hope and dream.
I mean, look, I could see a scenario where Sony may see the success of Multiverses, Brawlhalla, Smash Brothers, and go, oh, maybe we should have another crack at it. I could see a world where Sony, because remember, Sony's branching out now. So for the first time in like nearly a decade, they're going to start making games that aren't from one camera's perspective and at a certain speed with certain, checkboxes ticked off, because that's what we got to do all the time. So I could see a world where they would consider a PlayStation All-Stars 2.
Didn't Multiverse was super hot, but I haven't heard people talk about it in a couple months.
Yeah,
Did it die out, or is it just?
It's got a committed player base. It's not enormous, but it still has people that are way into it.
My issue with the PlayStation All-Stars, and it was the same with the first one, is PlayStation, and I know this is going to get people upset, and I hope they don't take it the wrong way, and they will, but I hope they don't. PlayStation doesn't really have the characters, the iconic characters, to make that style of game.
They don't? I mean, they've got 2 or 3 strong Ratchet characters.
But again, remember, we're talking about a 2.5D platform brawler now. I'm saying they don't have the iconic characters to suit that kind of game. So they've got Ratchet and Clank, Sackboy, Ape Escape, or that's theirs, isn't it? The apes, the apes from Ape Escape. Like, you're not really including Nate Drake just a dude, like a brunette white dude, and then Joel, another brunette white dude, and then like they're not platform fighter characters. Do you know what I mean? Like, in terms of characters that would fit that kind of game, oh yes, Sly Cooper. I don't think they've got enough to fill out a roster where Nintendo is just like next level for that kind of game. Again, when I say they don't have iconic characters, I'm speaking purely from the perspective of filling out a roster for a platform fighter. Because Joel and Nate aren't platform fighter characters. Kratos barely makes the cut, maybe. Like,
I mean, you wouldn't have Joel, you just have Nathan Drake, and then you move to something different. Yeah, you wouldn't put Joel and Nathan Drake in there.
No, but even Drake, like, he's just the generic white Indiana Jones wannabe. Like, he's not like.
What's the reboot going to be, Nick? What's the reboot? Is it going to be a new Nathan Drake, or will it be a?
I talk about that supposed Uncharted reboot.
Right?
Does Uncharted need to be rebooted? Like, 4 came out in 2016.
Well, I mean,
and then we got Lost Legacy.
For PlayStation, it does, because when an IP is 8 years old, it is considered, dusty and archaic, and they have to reboot it.
Yeah.
But
and they're really focused on supporting their movies, and if they're going to do another movie, they need more games, and you're just going to keep seeing that from them.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like the trap Microsoft fell into, where everything was Halo, Gears, whatever, and let's just keep pumping those out.
Yeah,
sounds like that trap. Okay. Good old Collingwood. 3 more questions left. Hopefully we'll get through these quick. Good old Collingwood. Hello, Nick, Jesse, and welcome back, Colt. Has Sony already won? Now, I don't mean the ABK acquisition, nor do I mean the number of console units sold. I mean, technically, we don't even know they're winning that. I am suggesting that perhaps our definition of what and how good or successful a game is has been coloured by the success of games such as the Uncharted series, The Last of Us series, and other PlayStation games. Colt, you've mentioned a few times that you want Xbox to produce a hit game. I assume along the lines of a God of War, an action-adventure high in quality and ambitious in scope. This is the sort of game that is most associated with PlayStation, and you can see it in critical reviews and Metacritic scores. Even the graphic that was shown, that was done showing the games nominated for Game of the Year from Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft shows this. It is then a natural assumption that when we think of quality games, we look straight at PlayStation's suite of games. When we think of Xbox, that's actually got a question mark at the end of it. Is it then a natural assumption that when we think of quality games, we look straight at PlayStation's suite of games? When we think of Xbox games, they are thought of as competent, but not at the same level as PlayStation. If that is the case, then has Sony already won? Should there be anything done to improve the visibility and profile of Xbox games? Your thoughts? It's an interesting question.
This is quite a discussion, because
there's
a perception that PlayStation makes higher quality games because they make more cinematic, blockbuster looking games. Now, Xbox and PlayStation put out the same caliber, reviewed and rated games as each other. And I did the math about a month ago, counting Xbox One, PS4 generation up until currently. And Xbox and PlayStation are both at 84 or 85% aggregate Metacritic or OpenCritic score with their exclusives. So there's this perception that PlayStation has these 80 and 90 bangers, and Xbox has these 60 and 70 bangers with the occasional 80, which is untrue. Xbox is actually more in line with Nintendo, as in they have these less serious looking games that are really highly rated. So Xbox has 4 stinkers in their catalog. Crackdown 3 at a 60, State of Decay at a 68, Sea of Thieves at a 69, and one more, Rise Son of Rome at a 60.
Bleeding Edge was super low too, I think.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Bleeding Edge. I did forget about that one. That one almost doesn't even count. What the heck were they thinking? They put that game out and stopped supporting it in like a month.
It's because it was right as a pandemic hit. It just had no chance.
Well, I mean,
they were already making it before the acquisition.
Yeah. But it wasn't exclusive. So, but really, it boils down because nobody remembers Bleeding Edge, but it really does boil down to those 4 big games. The rest of Xbox's games are in the mid 80s to low 90s, like across the board. There's a few games that might knock that game their score down, so you get an 83.3%. That's what Xbox.
There's a bunch in the
at.
70s too. There's a bunch in the mid to high 70s.
Sure, but there's a few. But the problem is with Xbox is their high 80s are Halo, Gears, and Forza. And then you've got Ori and Flight Sim and a couple other games that keep that number from dropping below 80. But PlayStation is at about an 85. Xbox is at an 83. So the perception of good old Collingwood's comment, it's so true that PlayStation makes more high quality games. They also have more exclusives because they've had more strong studios for longer. So Xbox is in the situation where they're about to put out Perfect Dark with an amazing team with Daryl Gallagher and his Crystal Dynamics team, who he's worked with for a decade. They're going to put out Perfect Dark. It's going to be polished. It's going to be AAA. It's going to be amazing.
Hopefully.
I mean, it has to be. I mean, Daryl Gallagher's
I know.
He's not going to ship a turd. Like he shipped the Tomb Raider reboot and the Rise of the Tomb Raider game, and those games are fantastic.
Amazing.
So that's what he does. And like we talked about at the very beginning of the show forever ago, about you have to have somebody at the head with, this is my vision. Right. Creatives, can you make it happen? And Crystal Dynamics is great. I don't know if I've asked you about the Avengers, but if you play the mainline missions for the Avengers game, it's really good. It's the other crap that failed it, and it looks incredible. So Xbox has a lot of the future to look forward to.
Yeah, I still think, to address good old Collingwood's question, again, from my perspective, I still think Xbox should do whatever they want to do, but just whatever they put out, make it the best it can be. As long as they keep doing that, they'll be fine. Like, because my worry is that they'll start to chase, if they start chasing what Sony's doing, they're going to start doing it just as Sony starts to pivot away. Like, just keep doing what you're doing. You've bought a whole bunch of studios who, for the most part, their specialty is first person. That's okay. Lean into it and make them all great. Make Avowed the best Avowed it can be. Make Starfield the best Starfield it can be. Don't worry about whether it's, is it like God of War? Is it like The Last of Us? Who cares? If I want those games, I'll go and get them on PlayStation. Make them the best at what they are, rather than trying to outdo what Sony's doing. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like Fable.
And I don't think Xbox is going to chase the Sony formula, because
I hope they don't.
It's not working for Sony. Now this is something some people might not want to hear if you're a big PlayStation fan, but the Sony formula is not working for them. It's not making them money outside of the Spider-Man games.
You've just got to be careful how you phrase that when you say it's not working per se, because I sort of feel the same way you do. Like, so we heard that God of War was apparently the fastest selling PlayStation exclusive ever. Think about that for a second. Ever. Across PlayStation 1, 100 million consoles. PlayStation 2, 150 million consoles. PlayStation 3, 85 million consoles. PlayStation 4, 116 million consoles, or 120, whatever it is. So, for the fastest selling PlayStation exclusive ever to hit 5.1 in a week, what does that say? There's a few ways you can look at that. You can look at that and say, well, that means PlayStation exclusives mustn't sell that great when the install bases are so big. Like,
what are they at? 20 million consoles for the PS5?
25 right now for PS5. So
now
if you think about it now, right?
Zakic said, not working, that's a leap. And of course, there's more to it. Like, because
and that's why I said choose the words carefully.
It's kind of Jim Ryan's words. He's like, it's not enough. The formula to put out these expensive, really expensive upfront costs to build a cinematic game like Horizon.
They need to be selling more than they are.
And Jim Ryan has said it. Like, we can't he was the one that said unsustainable more than Phil Spencer has said, because they spend all this much money. And he's like, we're looking at these other games, even if it's a Ubisoft game, they're selling so many copies because they're available on PC, they're available on PlayStation, they're available on Xbox. Sometimes they're available on a Nintendo console. So for them to be ready to go on to PC, the formula of making this expensive cinematic game, which the other part of it is we don't know how long the over-the-shoulder cinematic climb, shimmy through every crevice before that becomes totally in vogue, out of style, overplayed, outdone, Ubisoft formula, blah, blah, blah. That's what I say when I say it's not working for them. Right now, a couple of their games have done really well, but Horizon Forbidden West sold so unexcitedly for PlayStation that they never even talked about it. And I don't know why they didn't, because it sold great. The game rated really well, and it was sold great.
It sold great relative to what though? Like, remember, those games get heavily bundled too. So, you know, Ragnarok did 5.1 first week. We also know that Forza Horizon 5 did 4.5 first week.
Or almost 7 million the first week, didn't it?
I think in its first week it was 4.5. But remember, that's 4.5 million without any bundling, because Forza Horizon 5 wasn't bundled.
Yeah.
And that was of the expensive edition, because that's the only way you could get Forza Horizon 5
if you bought the $80 or $100 like deluxe early edition.
Well, in Australia, that was $150
add-on.
Jesse,
if you had Game Pass, you could add.
I think that Forza Horizon 5, by the time it was officially released to everyone, it was at 7 million. And in fact, give me 1 second. I will see if I can find it.
That's 4.5 million despite Game Pass in its first week.
Well, and a lot of those were. if you in that first week, it was either you're buying the expensive gold edition or you're buying
the add-on.
The add-on. So even people can't even say it was
still $40, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a $40.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Here it is. I don't know when the game came out, but one of my followers tweeted out on November 12th. Forza Horizon 5 is now 7 million players strong, not even a week into its official release. That's the power of Game Pass and being on more than one.
And that's despite Game Pass. So that's why when people are like, 5.1 million, it's like, but I don't know if that's ridiculously impressive given the myths that get perpetuated about PlayStation and their exclusives. Apparently, that's what everyone buys PlayStation 4, allegedly, for all the exclusives. If that was the case, and they've got 145 million PS4s and 5s to sell to, and God of War did 5.1.
It's not. That's not why people do not buy a PS4.
I know they don't.
So whenever you hear somebody say that people buy the PlayStation for their exclusives, that statement is completely true. People do buy a PlayStation for their exclusives, but the majority, or if you ever hear someone say everyone buys a PlayStation for their exclusives, that is 80% wrong, because even on Xbox, it's the same percentage.
It's the multiplex. Call of Duty, FIFA,
it's about
Madden,
20% or lower on PlayStation.
Fortnite.
Same as it on Xbox. I did the numbers last generation, and it was like, if you sold 5 million copies of an exclusive on Xbox and PlayStation, they sold like 10 million copies. And then the ratio was Nintendo. Why is that? Isn't that something?
Nintendo's the only one where people are literally buying that console for those games. They're the only one that do it. Microsoft and Sony do not.
Yeah.
At least not a large enough number.
Zakak says 7 million users. How much money is that? That was the first week before it even launched on Game Pass. So they sold 7 million copies of the deluxe $100 edition.
I could have sworn
I looked it up.
So the game released on the 9th. You got early access on the 5th. And by the time the 9th hit, I remember it was like around 5-ish.
That's what I thought. I thought it was about 4.5 before the official launch. That's what I thought. It's just
really hard to know who's on Game Pass and all that stuff after the 9th.
Yeah, but it didn't launch on Game Pass until the 9th. So
I'm seeing your comment in the chat, Salva, and that's right. I've been saying that all along. That is why Sony is so opposed to ABK, because Sony themselves know that people don't actually buy PlayStation for the exclusives. COD generates the majority of their revenue.
Call of Duty or FIFA is the reason why everyone buys a PlayStation 4 or a PlayStation 5.
That's why Jim is fighting.
If you're gonna make a generalized statement,
as hard as he is, because he knows that Microsoft is about to potentially take away a lot of their revenue.
Jesse, what was the deal on? I had the deluxe version, the ultimate edition of Forza Horizon 5. How long did you get it? If you paid $100, you got it early. Was it?
You got it 4 days early. You got access on the November 5th, which is actually when I got the. They didn't do review copies on that one. That's when we got it in. We got it November 5th, and then I put out my review on November 9th, which was launch day.
Yes, I did as well. So the point was, the Z guy that I was talking to is that it sold over 4 million copies to just everyone who wanted the ultimate expensive edition.
Yeah.
And then when it launched on Game Pass 5 days later or whatever it was up to 7 million players, and then it got to 12 or something.
It's well over 20 now.
It's the power of releasing a game on a console and on PC at the same time. You have all those people who are biting to go get your game, because it's not about selling the consoles. I mean, even PlayStation has been very forthright about how you don't gauge your success of the platform by how many consoles you sell, it's how much software. And Phil Spencer said the best customer is the Xbox customer who buys an inexpensive console and buys as many games for that system as they can and keeps it around for as long as they can.
Which is amazing to think, even though Digital Foundry just said that Xbox game sales have completely plummeted by 80% on their show last
80%?
I think they're talking about
they got corrected pretty hard.
UK.
That was in discussion of physical sales in the UK,
but they didn't
which is
ever
like
say
a
physical
microcosm.
sales. They just said it.
They put out a correction on that. Yeah,
it's almost like sometimes people like to take what you say out of context when they don't listen properly, huh?
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
We wouldn't know how that feels.
I know it's such a burden to bear. I'll tell you what. Once that PlayStation is ready to release on PC day and date, they are going to be swimming in happy money.
Oh,
but that journey to get there is taking them forever, because they bought a studio to help them with PC ports. They've got their teams dipping back and, hey, we'll give you a year or 6 months to get Returnal on PC, and once they do, they'll sell like 3 or 5 more.
They need more studios to pump out more games. They don't have the first party content yet to support PlayStation Plus the way it needs to be supported to get those day one games.
Isn't that a weird thing to say, though?
That's a whole.
When you say they don't have enough, like when you compare it, Xbox almost has enough first party content to support themselves on Game Pass. They're getting there, and PlayStation
just not putting it out yet.
yeah.
It's not putting it out yet. Okay, DO game. Hello, everyone. Avatar released in 48 frames in some theaters this week. Gross. This brings me to my question. Would you rather play a game in 24 frames or watch a movie in 60?
Wasn't it 48 frames for VR? So you had double for the VR experience?
Something like that.
3D.
Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you, Jesse.
Yes, 3D.
I didn't know they did that.
The Hobbit or something was in 48 as well.
And people hated it.
Personally, I'd take the movie. 30 FPS is the bare minimum for an enjoyable game, in my opinion. But I have enjoyed some films at 60 and even 120.
What movies did you watch that were at 60 or 120? And don't tell me about frame rate, motion smoothing on your TV. That's not the same.
I think.
Are there movies that release at 60 frames?
Wasn't there a John Woo one? I thought there was.
But in terms,
John Woo one.
I don't know. But in terms of games, I would accept a 24 FPS game, but only for a very, very, very specific type of game.
What if Hellblade releases only at 24 FPS because it is going to have the most realistic camera and presentation that will look like you're actually playing a movie?
But that's why I said I would like if I'm making the choice between a movie at 60 and a game at 24, I'm potentially only choosing the 24 game for a very, very specific one-off game. Normally, I would not like. I already hate 30. I can't stand playing at 30. So I'm only accepting 24 in a very, very rare, exceptional circumstance, like maybe The Order, potentially something like that. I don't know. I'd prefer neither, because movies at high frame rates are gross too.
Yep.
Okay. Last question, and I'm already over time, and I'm going to get in big trouble soon. Our friend nrXic, who made Omega Rally Championship the basis for the future rock and roll racing game. Hello, everyone. Colt's appearance has me recalling it a hilarious live chat comment during one of Colt's podcasts where Sick and Nick were guests. God, this is a deep cut. When John and I were both guests on Colt's podcast, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
The quote is, "What's Colt doing interviewing 2 UFC fighters?" What? Was that really a comment during the podcast? Why are we UFC fighters?
Because were we wearing sunglasses or something during that? I don't
know. But look at me. I'm not big enough to be a UFC fighter. As fantastic as my body is, like, I don't think I'm big enough to be a UFC fighter. My God. Anyways, what do you think of this idea? Xbox Live is no longer required for online play, but it gives you 2
Love
features.
it. All right, see you. Thanks.
But it gives you 2 features. The first is an online PVR system, DVR, PVR, where it records your gameplay to the cloud, and you can grab clips from there for sharing purposes. It's essentially like streaming a private stream on Mixer, but gives you so much more flexibility in finding, editing, and sharing clips. An app can be used on the Xbox, but it would be using the cloud to handle all necessary storage processing. The second is a green check mark appended to your Xbox Live handle.
Weird.
Everyone loves their check marks. Yeah, the first is a PVR system, but they already have that now.
They already kind of do it, and I don't love everything about the DVR system and capture share.
Even though they've
improved it recently.
Changed it, it's still not good. Even though they've changed it,
guess
it's
what?
Still not good.
It's still way better quality than PlayStation's DVR. And that's for sure. I've learned. Oh yeah. Everyone thinks the PlayStation DVR is better.
Wait.
It's not.
Are you talking about the actual video quality now, or are you talking
the video
about
quality? Yes, the video quality and the conversion and the convenience factor. The Xbox.
I'm talking about the process of sharing. The actual sharing process on PlayStation is a million.
Is better.
Times
Yes,
better.
The flexibility, able to is better. Is
the video quality I can't talk to. I just shared a Twitter and that's it. So I don't know video.
Yeah. If you're making content without a capture card, the Xbox capture is 25% higher quality and it is a better format. It's a H.265 MP4, and PlayStation uses only a 1080, and that's at 4K 60 with 25% more quality and compression. And the PlayStation uses an MP4 that is locked to only 1080p with 25% less compression quality ratio. So
I thought they do 4K videos.
It's interesting.
Well. Are you sure they don't do 4K videos?
They do 4K videos, but it uses a WebM feature that has the HDR and SDR flip-flopped or a really bad translation for color gamut trading. And then you have to use a third-party program that you have to download or find on your PC, which I've used. And then your footage, anything beyond anything you recall beyond 5 minutes is 1080p. If you record in the moment, it's at 4K and it's lower quality than Xbox. So I've used both of them lately since God of War Ragnarok came out. And I'm like, oh, well, people have been saying forever that the PlayStation is better in that regard, but their flexibility is definitely better. And Xbox needs to step it up on the capability to share. But right now I can record 30 seconds of something and immediately go and share it to Twitter. And you used to not be able to do that on Xbox. It would stall out or it'd fail. And
the trimming used to break and
it would lock up and it would buffer forever.
It was a part of the UI instead of being its own app, and they finally just made it its own app, so it gets the proper resource allocation and so it works way better. Yeah. So the Xbox 4K video goes, I think, is roughly 25K bitrate. Which for H.265 HEVC is really good. When it's that, it's just good enough for our reviews. I'll allow Nick to do it. I normally record at 64K bitrate on a capture card.
I mean, that is overkill for YouTube, but
I found it's the sweet spot because YouTube, depending on what you feed it, will sort of like chop it down a certain amount. And once I went above 64, it just would take like 3 days and then not look any better.
Yeah, and I don't want to bore people with like the technical things, especially if you don't care about making content or anything, but if you're doing a racing game and you have a lower bit rate, all of the things around your car will turn into big blocky
artifacts.
chunks.
Just artifacts.
Yeah, like it'll just blur together and you'll see no detail whatsoever.
Twitch is stuck at 6K to 8K for most people. It looks real bad on anything high motion.
Oh, geez. Anyway.
But back to nrXic's question.
What was the rest of the question?
Unless we're misunderstanding the question, they kind of already have that anyway, but it seems like what you're suggesting is like a cloud exclusive version that can be accessed from anywhere, I think. But maybe we're misinterpreting. The green check mark, I mean, they have enough logos and stuff against their profiles, don't they? We have all our social icons. We have our Xbox Live, how long we've been an Xbox Live icon. We have all these other ones, man. It's going to be so many marks there. But we're all marks in the end, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. We are all marks one way or another. Anyway, I think that's it. That's all the questions. Thank you, everyone, for putting them in. Thanks to all our patrons. Thanks to everyone that watches us. Colt, even though I am sure 99% of our audience knows who you are, knows where they can find you, why don't you tell them anyway and what you're working on at the moment?
I was kind of like, relax and get ready for Christmas. So hopefully I can still do that as Christmas is coming in about a week. So yeah, it's been great. It's been a really good year. I'm super happy. We've all gone through a lot over the past couple of years, but looks like we'll all get to meet up at gaming events in the near future. And I'm looking forward to covering some of these games that Xbox has in the pipeline, pushing really hard on the marketing team to speak up more often, hype up your product, get your fans excited, and most of all,
synergize.
Synergize and show your confidence in the product. I don't care if you think the FTC is going to look at you over their shoulder. The
FTC aren't looking at anything. The FTC the FTC doesn't know their head from their ass, so you don't actually have to worry about what the FTC says. It's fine.
Yeah, they're going to lose more momentum and faith from their consumers if they don't speak up.
Yes,
and yeah, thank you. I'm Colt Eastwood. One word on Twitter and on YouTube, and hopefully I'll see you guys soon in a few days with something about Fable.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Hopefully. Jesse, what are we working
just put on? That battery lasts forever on that.
Oh, yeah, it's got a light.
It's like 30-something hours.
Yeah, plug it in. I don't want it to stall on. I don't want it to stall on mid clip. Just freeze up.
So this week, I actually
have it hanging there.
Jesus Christ, I put out 5 things I forgot. We had High on Life. We had The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt for next gen, which is really pretty. Scars Above preview. That game's coming in February. It's actually pretty solid. I did a G-Cloud review. We had Blacktail go live. That game is surprisingly fantastic, and it is reviewing really well everywhere. You are the Baba. You're Yaga, and you can choose if you want to be the Baba Yaga or if you want to be a good witch. And next week is our Game of the Year week. Been working on it. We're going to have a bunch of individual lists. Nick's going to type up something wonderful soon, I'm sure.
Tonight. I'm going to a Christmas party right now, so it's going to have to be tonight.
So we'll have a whole bunch of Game of the Year stuff this week, culminating with our full staff top 10. That's what I'm working on.
Yes. And don't forget, before we go to drinkcontrol.com/XboxEra and use our code XboxEra for 10% off very, very delicious control. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I can basically guarantee you will enjoy control. It's that nice. And also, don't forget, if you do suffer from Pubis Megalis, like Colt and I do, make sure you go to manscaped.com, and when you buy yourself a lawnmower and use the guard, you use the code XboxEra to get 20% off and free shipping. So you can get your treatment for Pubis Megalis. Okay, with that, we will let you all go, and we'll see you next week for the 3rd annual XboxEra Grubsmas Specialtacular.
Friday the 23rd. Yes. Friday.
It's on 23rd. Your Friday, my Saturday. Unfortunately, John's going to be crashing that one. So we will see you all then. Ciao for now.
The XboxEra podcast is powered by Control. Control is a meal replacement and functional foods business whose mission is to improve the lifestyles of gamers and content creators by making them healthier. Their meal replacement shakes and meal on the go bars are the best tasting products in their category while also giving you all the protein, vitamins, minerals, and other nutrients you need to keep you going. Check out drinkcontrol.com and try out the sample kits to see what all the hype is about.